Oh, yeah, and
Very impressed with it.
yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I bet.
I had more time to enjoy it. I'm too busy
Yeah.
working, too busy working to pay for it.
I know, huh? Okay, yay. Oh, I need to get Dave on, huh?
There he is. Hey, Dave.
Hi.
Hi, Dave.
Hello.
Who's that?
Hi, I'm Stefan from Mosaic Architects.
Hi, Stefan. Welcome.
Are we all ready? Is everybody here for the presentation?
Not yet. It's going to be a bit before we start.
Great. I'm going to see if I recognize anybody.
There's Tip.
Hi, Tip. It's so nice. Hi, Tip. It's so nice to meet you finally. I hear so many good things about you.
Well, keep it to yourself.
Don't tell anybody.
Anybody.
Okay, my lips are sealed.
Thank
You'll
you.
actually see some of Jens's drawings. Jens is the structure engineer for the project, so you might recognize the Praxis logo when we look at the drawings.
Okay, it's 1 o'clock, everybody. Let's start our meeting of October 21st, 2021. Montecito Board of Architecture Review agenda. And let's see, is everybody here? I'm gonna check participants.
There's Mr. Sharp,
Tip and Don.
John.
And Kimberly's there, and I'm here, and Claire, there's Claire too. Okay, all right, we're good to go. I know Sam is going to be out today. So let's get a roll on it here. Public comment. Is there anyone in the audience here that'd like to speak to items that are not on the agenda today? Sharon,
I have nobody, no hands are raised. Thank you. So,
okay, very good. We'll close public comment and go on to the agenda status report. Anything to add to the agenda, Sharon? I know there was some.
well, that was, no, we don't, there's no changes from the agenda that was sent out.
Okay, all right, very good. All right. I know there was there's 10 items though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right. Okay, let's go on to minutes. We've got 2 item minutes there. September 23rd, we'll start with that one. 2021. Did anybody, any of the board members have any changes or modifications to those minutes from September 23rd?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, John Watson.
Okay, on the first page under administrative agenda, Roman numeral 2, there is an extra word in there. The applicants for item number 9 have requested that item their item. So the first item, ITEM, should be struck from that. Okay, under comment number, or Roman numeral number 5, I believe we actually entered into a discussion on that one, and that we discussed that we were not going to meet until after April 1st, after the 1st of the year. Am I correct in that, or am I incorrect on that?
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
Yes,
the
Kimberly?
discussion occurred on the 10-7 agenda.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So this agenda is correct then on that? I don't mean to cut you off, Kimberly, but just trying to keep going. So item number 2, did we request an FAR study for that?
Me.
669 Picacho Lane. That's the one that's kind of back in, it was a flag lot, and it was larger than the area Then,
Well,
Actually, I remember we did ask one.
so let's have item number 6 be provide FAR study. Thank you, Chip.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a 107 FAR.
No, it was bigger than that. It was,
Item 2?
no, item number,
2.
it was a flag lot. It was up around 130 or 140.
Okay. Yes, FAR study.
Okay, and that is all that I have for that agenda.
Okay.
Or for those minutes, excuse me.
Was anybody else have anything else to add to that, those minutes?
No, I'll make a motion for approval
Okay,
I'll second.
as amended.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carried. Okay, let's go into October 7th. Is that the date? Let me get this out of the way here. October
Okay.
7th agenda.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, John?
under committee members present, I love you, but apparently whoever prepared these minutes didn't or doesn't. They left you off.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
I was here for that.
Okay, there you go. Okay, at the bottom of the page, staff update. 5 members of MBIR present indicated their desire to continue virtual meetings at this time,
Yeah,
not continual. That would be a little too much to have a continual meeting. Okay, item number 1. Comment number 2. Provide FAR neighborhood compatibility study, please. Comment number 4, provide sections. I think what we were trying, this is that very large deck on Miramar. I think what that comment was about is so that we could assess privacy intrusion of the neighbors to the east and the west of the project. So what I would like to suggest is provide east-west sections showing how deck will affect neighbor privacy.
I agree.
that sounds good.
Oh, okay. I was good with it until leaving on the from neighbor on. The first part of what you said was great. I don't know that we need to have it in the minutes that talking about the neighbor. The reason we did it was just we wanted to know. We wanted to know that, you know, it doesn't matter either way, but I just think we don't need to include what our thinking of why we did something in the minutes.
How do other members feel?
I think it might clarify why the section's being cut, and if they can help explain that even better, you know, maybe.
Yeah, I agree, Bill, that our intent is important so that they can create the correct plans.
Yeah.
Oh, got it. Okay. I see what I see where you're going. Okay, that's fine. It's fine with me.
Now, similarly to that, there was a concern about view blockage from a neighbor to the north. Do we want them to provide a north-south section, or will the story poles that we do request in this be enough? What do members think?
I think the story poles would probably do the trick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Item number 2, again, provide neighborhood FAR compatibility study.
Yeah.
Comment number 4, one member expressed concerns of the proximity. So it's actually an English sentence.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, so.
Sorry.
Okay, so item number 4, comment number 3, one member suggested considering a more traditional west elevation. What I'd like to add is comma, I period, E period, with ridge centered on garage door. It was my comment, that's what I was trying to get at.
One
Anybody?
member suggested considering a more traditional west elevation. That doesn't say, what was
This
the
is-
rest, what's the rest of it that you're added to there, John? Does that,
With, that is to say, I period E, with ridge centered on garage door.
oh, okay, that's the direct, okay, yeah, no, that's way better. This doesn't tell anybody anything.
Okay, and under the action, Memphis and Kung absent, comma, Wolf recused.
Yes. Just nail that.
Item number 6, the board appreciated the efforts to study, I think we should strike the word other. And this is the project up on Oak Road. that had the, okay, so comment number 3, reduce the width of the driveway. Can somebody please tell me what that is about and what it means? I don't know from reading this.
I put 10-foot wide gate, north gate. We were talking about reducing the width because I think they pulled, we talked about maybe alternative paving material, but they had a really wide, the secondary gate was as big as the primary gate.
Right,
The
that's
suggestion
comment number 2.
was to reduce the width of the driveway because they were parking on both sides of it.
Well, and
Well, no, reduce the width of the driveway. I mean, what we're trying to say is, with their drawings was it was a wider driveway. Isn't that what we were trying to do,
Yes.
John? Yeah.
well,
Mr. Chair, the comment was from Claire. And she was talking about, she had issues with the amount of paving. So she wanted to see if the driveway width could be reduced to minimize.
And
Yeah.
that was the, I think would be the southerly driveway, not the northern or the east. And there were two isn't this the project that has 2 driveways?
no, it has 1 driveway and 2 gates.
Oh, and 2 gates. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah.
So what they had with the driveway is wall at the street, parking area, ability to drive through, parking area on the right. So they have about 25 feet in there or so.
Okay, so yeah.
And so does this board want, and I think it was Claire's comment, down to 16 feet, so it's car and car, no drive aisle in the middle.
Yeah, I think that's what I was trying to get to, was reducing the width of the driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
At-
down to a standard, standard regulate,
At the front of the house.
yeah, at the front of the house.
Yeah.
But I was okay with that, so I think
Oh, okay.
I think that should be attributed to members that felt that way, because I was okay with the way it was proposed.
Well, one member,
Well, there might be other people too. We should check.
Well,
I'm saying from my point of view, given everybody's saying that I said it, that I'm saying that it could say one member requested reducing the width of the driveway.
yeah.
That way it attributes it to just one, Dave. That's what I'm trying to
I
get to.
think that's better because I think the one advantage is it did pull parking off the street, which is an issue in that.
Exactly.
So I was okay with their width. So yeah, why don't we add the word one member?
Yeah,
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
if I could go over, I've gotten a couple of different directions. So one member requested reducing the width of the driveway. Did you want to add to 16 feet or to standard size and include at the front of the house, or just one member requested reducing the width of the driveway?
I would leave it to them with the caveat that it's at the front of the house that we're talking about, and I don't think we should give them width.
Give a size? Okay. One member requested reducing the width of the driveway at the front of the house,
Yes.
period.
That sounds
Thank-
good, Claire? Claire?
Yes,
good with
yeah, that's, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, and then, Bill, you wanted to add the specifics of reduce the size and architectural significance of the northern gate.
Well, the discussion was, yeah, to make the secondary gate feel more like.
You had gotten so far in your comment a couple of minutes ago to 10 feet. Did you want to add that in?
Yeah, we could add that 10-foot wide northern gate.
What do other members think? I want to make sure we actually said that at the meeting.
But-
These are supposed
yeah.
to reflect what we did at the meeting. And was it one member or more? I agree that it should be 10 feet. But I want to make sure that we're correctly reflecting what we did at the meeting.
I think that does reflect the board comments.
Mr. Chair, there was not a specific width
Okay.
provided or size dimension.
I think I actually said that, Kimberly.
Did you? Okay,
Yeah, I think so.
apologies.
That's
I-
okay.
Is that a second, another item? Would that be after 2?
It would be in added to, I'd say.
Added to 2, okay.
Reduce the size and architectural significance of the northern gate. Well, reduce the size, well, yeah, that sentence.
Yeah, well, it could go either way.
I guess you could say,
I
reduce.
think it should be at the end of this period, northern gate period, consider 10-foot wide gate.
Perfect.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
And I know that it's a little nitpicky, but it has to do with whether or not the word consent is a noun or a verb or an adjective. But in that same project, under the action second line, project may return for final approval on, and then I think we should strike the word the consent or add the word agenda. Either one.
Project may return for final approval
On consent.
on consent.
Easy.
You
Not
don't like
on
that?
Not on the consent.
Oh, just taking the out. Yeah, absolutely.
And Mr. Chairman, that is all I have.
Okay, did anyone else have anything else to add?
Oh, excuse me, that's not quite right. I'm again gonna be picky here on the last page. There being no further business on the second line, a vote of 5-0, open parentheses, Kung and Memphis absent. You left the open parentheses out. That's all I have.
Okay, anybody else? Okay.
No.
So we have a motion.
I will move for approval of the minutes of October, was it 7th, as amended.
Second,
Seconded by Claire. All those in favor?
Aye.
One abstain.
One abstained. All right. All, motion carried. Okay, let's see. Go on to item 4, Montecito consent agenda. We didn't have anything on consent today,
Nope.
did
nope.
we? All right.
And there was an informational briefing.
Informational briefing. Anything to report there from anyone?
I will be stepping down on item number 4 for today.
Okay. Thank you, Tip. Anything else? Okay. All right, let's go on to item 5, staff update. Anything from you, Kimberly or Sharon?
Just wanted to advise the MBAR that the Montecito Planning Commission also voted to remain virtual. They will be making these findings every month as required by the new state law.
Okay, great. Thank you. Sharon, did you have anything to report?
Thank you, Bill.
Okay, thank you. Number 6, reconsider the circumstances of COVID state of emergency. Okay, so what is this we're looking at?
What? I couldn't figure out what it was either, but whatever.
Is this, Kimberly, is this kind of a continuation of what David was getting at? Should I read this? I don't know.
Mr. Chair, yes, I believe these are the findings that have to be made monthly to remain virtual.
Okay.
Is it monthly? Because we just did this.
It is monthly, and last month, because 2 members were absent, I
Okay.
believe you just took a roll call to figure out where everyone stood on the virtual criteria.
Thanks.
All right, then I'll take a roll call. So, Claire, do you want to go virtual or in person?
I'm going to vote with the group as okay. I mean, I think I've said it verbally. I hate these Zoom meetings. So, but because it's a state thing, and you know, I'm going to go along with the group. You know,
Okay.
I'm not going to fight it.
We'll circle back to you. Don Sharp, virtual or in person?
Virtual, please.
Virtual, please. All right, we got one virtual. John Watson, virtual, in person?
Virtual through the beginning of the year, at least.
Okay. Dave Mindro,
Virtual.
virtual. Tip,
In person.
in person. Okay, we got one in person. I'm gonna go virtual. And Claire, back to you.
I think I'll stick with the in person.
Okay, so we
It's not going to make any difference one way or another.
Yeah,
We're going to do what
so-
we're going to do.
we're assuming majority rule here, I guess, and so we don't have Sam who's here to vote. So we're what do we have? 4-2, I guess. So for now, we stay virtual. Is that sufficient, Kimberly?
I believe so, but for the record, can you just indicate that you've considered this COVID state of emergency and will continue to go with the recommended measures of remaining virtual?
Yes, we have considered the circumstances of the COVID state of emergency, COVID-19 state of emergency, and at this point in time, we will, until asked next month, we will continue a virtual meeting.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, let's go to the standard agenda items. Item 1, 788 San Ysidro Lane. It's here for conceptual review, and it does have a planner. So as the applicants online, if they can state their name and give us your presentation, that'd be great. Do we have an applicant? Somebody? Megan? Somebody from Becker Studios? Not hearing you. If you are there, please turn on your volume.
Whatever. Megan, okay, where is she? Where is she?
Megan,
She here?
Let's see. Oh, Megan Hart. Yeah, Megan, are you there? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, she needs to unmute herself.
Yeah, we can't.
She's showing up as being muted.
Yeah, now I don't see.
Hi.
There you
Oh,
go.
there you are.
So I apologize. I'm a little late joining in here. I just got off a call, but my
Hey.
name is Megan Hart, and I'm here on behalf of Becker Studios to present the garage remodel and addition at 788 San Ysidro Lane.
Okay.
So if we jump into just going to the existing site photos here on the cover sheet, if you want to zoom in there, you will see in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the view from the street, and you can see the existing garage there from the street. So I'll further discuss this when we get into the site plan, but we're proposing the garage addition to the left of the area here in the photo, and the garage is going to be stepped back. We intentionally designed it to be stepped back so it'd be less visible from the street, just less building mass. If you scroll up a little bit to pages 2 and 3 of our existing photos here, we're proposing to keep the existing garage door, that's the existing 2-car garage, and use the same exact garage door style on the new garage that is going to be to the left there. So I'm going to go ahead and jump to our site plan sheet, which that is sheet, A.0. So if you zoom in there, that's the existing footprint of the garage. The next sheet shows the proposed footprint of, it's just another garage bay, very minimal and modern. I mean, minimal and
Oh, there it is.
modern.
Oh, okay.
So that's how we stepped it back there, just so it'd be less visible from the street. We're proposing to use the same exact materials in terms of exterior brick veneer and plaster on the garage addition. We are not affecting any resources on the site, and we are not encroaching into any setbacks on the site. If you want to just go to the floor plan sheet, just do a quick review of that. Just larger there, standard garage side. It's about 12 feet wide and then 20 feet deep. And then if you click to the following page, we'll look at the elevations. So we're just on the top right-hand corner is probably the best front view of the garage, north elevation. You can see the roof sheds off of the existing roof to the side. There are trees that overhang here, so there no oak trees or anything, but just I think there's a existing pepper tree, so it will kind of shade the garage and again, really screened from the street view. We're proposing plaster finish on the new garage bay, just because if you look on the existing photos on our photo boards, the backside of the garage does have plaster finish, as well as the pool cabana beyond the garage. If you want to scroll to the other elevations or just zoom out, you'll see the break-in materials there on the side. And just for everyone's to know, if you want to go back to the cover sheet, you can see the plaster. We're not reinventing anything by adding this plaster in. The first photo, number 1, that's the backside of the existing garage, and you can tell it's plaster. So if you go to the last page now, I'll just quickly run everyone through our material board. Again, existing garage panels, we're just going to replicate that style on the new garage. 2-piece antique mission tile, copper gutters, and then we're going to just repurpose the exterior sconces that are getting taken off other areas of the house to match the exterior sconces on the garage. Those are night sky compliant. And we're just going to match the exterior white paint finish. I believe it's cloud white. And that concludes my presentation. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you, Megan. Let's go to questions of the board. Kip, did you have any questions?
No, I don't.
No? Okay. Don Sharp, any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay. John Watson, questions?
Megan, the obvious one is why not a hip?
Why not a hip? It just, in terms of construction and cost, this was going to be the cheapest way for us to add on to the garage by just doing a simple shed roof.
Have you considered the rear of the garage and how the new roof interacts with the existing? You've got a funny high side next to the lower existing eave line, and it seems to me, from my experience, it would actually be simpler to build a hip and then put in a cricket.
We can study that more. We did look into it and we just felt like this was the simplest way, but we're happy to restudy that.
Mr. Chairman, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Dave Mendro, do you have any questions?
Not anymore. John had the same question I did.
Okay. I I was gonna ask, what about a flat roof parapet on there? Did you think about that?
We actually did not think about a parapet, but again, we can come back with a roof study.
Yeah, okay. Also, you show brick, which is existing, but you're not actually doing brick. That's just on your material board. That just shows the existing, it's like a slump stone almost, huh?
Yes, it's just a brick veneer on the exterior of the house. It was just to show it in comparison to what we're building. We'll clarify that. It's kind of confusing.
And then what's the little space? Is that a trash enclosure or something on the side? That's just
On the left or on the right?
on the left as you face the.
On the left, that is the existing pool equipment.
Okay, that's existing there. So you're not.
Correct.
Are you changing any of the?
We're not changing any of that. It's existing to remain.
Okay. Okay. All right. That's all I had for questions. All right. Okay. Let's see if there's anyone in the audience that'd like to speak to this item 1788 San Ysidro Lane. Sharon, was there anybody?
I don't have anybody. I didn't receive any letters. No one's hand is raised. Thank you.
All right, let's close public comment. And we'll go to comments of the board members. Tip, what are your thoughts on this?
Yes, well, this is a very minor little project. But however, I feel that the addition to the garage a little bit seemed like a tag on. I feel that it should be a little more cohesive with the existing garage, and I had to do the roof line, I had to do the finish. So I would like the applicant to study the roof line, study the finish, so it doesn't seem like you just adding a block to the existing garage. But other than that, I think it's a minor project. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Tip. Don Sharp, what are your thoughts?
I agree with Tip. I think restudying the roof is very important. It's a little awkward the way it is. It's it needs a little work, but other than that, the site plan, the location of the garage, I think is good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don. John Watson, what are your thoughts?
I agree, but I personally want to be more specific and suggest that they do a HIP. And since this is such a small project, I think this comes back for preliminary, final, and consent. And given that, I would like to have the board weigh in on what the board feels is appropriate so that I don't make it up as I'm going along. So I vote HIP. And anyway,
Okay.
I'd like to hear everybody else's opinion, please.
Okay, thank you, John. Claire, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm kind of going back to Tip. I think the direction should not necessarily be a particular way of solving this problem, but for the applicant to restudy the roof configuration of the third, or I guess it's
Third bay.
Yeah, the third bay, that's all. I just want them, if they have to come back, what we're saying is they're gonna have to come back anyway at some point, and that they should restudy the roof. That's what everybody is saying, and I agree with that. I think it's up to the architect to figure out how to fix what they're proposing, not us dictating what that is.
And are you okay with final on consent too?
Well, yeah, that's fine.
Potentially, okay. Let's see, who else? Dave Mendro, what are your thoughts?
I agree with the comments from the board thus far, but I can approve the project the way it is. I think it's pretty minor, mass bulk and scale. I did want to confirm the FAR though before I give my final blessing here.
Okay.
One thing I just noticed when I logged in is that we do not have the FAR on here, but since it is uninhabitable.
Here it is. I think I found it.
Yeah,
Is this it?
it's there. It's right there. It's
It was separate. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
So
in-
99, that's correct?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
Yeah, I think it's a very small project. It's not impacting anything. So I would highly encourage you to restudy and find a more compatible roof form, whether it's parapet or hip or something else, but I can support the project the way it is as well. And final on consent is fine by me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Did I get everybody? I think so. Yeah, I agree. John, I think we could leave it to them to decide, but for my liking, I think it probably worked better with a parapet, but hip could work too. So either option, I think. The other thing I would suggest is in your elevation there, 1B, it looks like you've got the door jammed up against the wall there. Might be a little difficult to do that. So you're probably going to have to pull that off the wall. So you have a little bit of a jam potentially there. I don't know how it works inside, but anyway, that was just a point of reference.
We'll clean that up.
Yeah. But otherwise, I think final on consent would be fine. So, so you're here for.
Mr. Chairman, it's actually going to be preliminary final on consent.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. So, yeah, so we don't give them anything at this point, right? They just come back with preliminary
that's our recommendation.
final. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see you back. Talk with your planner and get it set up for preliminary and final on consent.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Go on to item 2, 801 San Ysidro Lane, conceptual review, and it has a planner. Do we have the applicant online? And
hi there, we're here.
okay, who's this?
Hi there, are we ready to begin?
Yes, please introduce yourself and give us your
Okay,
presentation.
will do. Hello, Chair and members of the board. My name is Holly Garson, and I'm with Suzanne Elledge Planning and Permitting. And today I'm joined by the project architect Ryan White of Wade Weissman Architecture. And we're representing the project located at 801 San Ysidro Lane. And much of what you'll see today in the drawings, the board previously approved and is under an issued land use permit from September 2020. And as you'll see in the project description on the cover sheet of the drawings, as it describes, we're now proposing a few minor additions, and therefore we hope to be able to return to you next for a prelim final approval. I did want to mention that the project historians, Post Hazeltine and Associates, they have reviewed the drawings and they provided a memo stating that the project impacts to the significant historic resource will continue to be less than significant. And with that, Ryan will now present the minor improvements. Thank you.
So not to interrupt, but Holly, just to clarify, we're really reviewing just minor improvements to a project that we already approved. Is that correct? So the project description is correct, but the plans look like they show more things, showing existing house and the new house, et cetera. So maybe you can clarify that as we go through this, what exactly we're looking at.
Yeah, and I think Ryan will also be able to clarify that, but we were proposing a residence and we have an approved land use permit for that. And then now we just have a few minor additions that were considered to be a new land use permit. So that's what we're presenting to you today.
All right, thank you.
Holly, was Ryan able to come on?
Yeah, he is on. I see him.
Oh, I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good.
Sorry, I had myself on mute. Good afternoon to everyone. I'm Ryan White with Wade Weissman Architecture. And as Holly had explained, we're requesting some minor additions to this the previously approved LUP or land use permit. And actually just to the lower left of what's currently on the screen will describe the additions that we're requesting.
This is what is in our agenda. This is exactly what our agenda says.
Yeah, I think the only deviation from what's listed in the agenda it's described as an existing garage and an existing house, and those are future. It'll be a future garage based on that previously approved land use permit.
Got it. Thank you.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
I do want to note that the additional square footage brings us up to from 66% FAR to 68% FAR. So we're still considerably below the FAR for the site, and as well as under the height limit. I think it would be probably easiest if we went to to page 11, which is our main floor plan, that we can walk through the modifications that we're recommending. And we for clarifications, we bubbled the areas where we're making those additions. So the far on the northeast area of the plan, which is a single-story portion of the house, we're extending the northern face 2 feet, and the area where the stair is located, that's extending an additional 2'10". Additionally, at one of the modifications that we're asking for is, given the current circumstances, we originally had the stair to the basement coming through the main foyer. The client had requested that we move the stair to the lower level mechanical area to the garage, and the reason for this is to avoid having workmen and people coming into the house, and just from a health perspective and a safety perspective, I think it makes a lot of sense from a pragmatic sense. So we did move that area. We moved the stair to the garage, or through the garage, on the southeastern portion of the plan. And we could also look at the elevations if you'd like, on where those areas have been modified. So the next page, actually page 20, would show where the garage, so the north elevation number 2, that indicates where the new basement mechanical area and stair is located. So that's that bubbled area. And then the extensions on the elevation below that are also shown as bubbled. The kind of historic elevation, the design and the elevations don't, I guess the extensions don't manifest themselves in any marketable way other than the plan extension. I think stylistically it's identical to what was previously approved. As far as the stair bump out, if you look at the current page that we're on the west elevation, we are extending the roof from that hip roof into a shed over the stair area. And to the right of that, where we have a small bump out in the garage, that actually is a flat roof with a parapet that the hip roof would fall onto, rather than adding another extension to the hip to kind of help eliminate that visually. you can see if we go to page 19 on the south elevation, if you look, that small bump out is shown on the right side, or on the left side, pardon me.
Are there any changes to your landscaping site work?
Not really. Most of this actually lends itself to folding into the landscape pretty well, without any deviations, really.
Okay, great. Does that conclude your presentation?
And then one additional thing, we were the roof, not the roof, I'm sorry, we're basically raising the ceiling height within the structure. So the main mass of the house is moving up 1 foot as we're proposing. That does not change the window proportions from any of the eaves to the windows. It's really just coming up from below. So the historic house that we have is that elevation is being maintained as is.
So the roof ridge is not getting taller?
Everything's moving up together, I guess, is a better way of looking at it. The floor to ceiling on the second floor is not changing. It's really from the first floor level to the second floor, but the elevation itself is like from top of first floor window to underside of second floor window. That is remaining unchanged.
Never
The
mind.
ridge height, I guess the question is the ridge height the same, or is it going up 12 inches? The ridge height.
It is being raised. Yeah, the ridge is raising up by 12 inches. That is correct.
Okay. Okay. Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you. Let's go to questions of the board. John Watson, do you have any questions?
I do not. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Claire, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. Tip, any questions?
No, I do not.
Okay. Don Sharp
No questions.
and Dave Mendro.
I don't remember seeing this project story polls. I may or may not have been at the meeting, but I was wondering if there was any neighborhood concerns, if any, either the applicant or any of the other members remember that.
Kimberly, do you remember anything like that? Or anything?
I don't believe that I was sitting with the board for this original meeting.
Mr.
I
Chairman,
could go.
When did we see the original project? I think that would be helpful as a question.
So we received the final approval, it looks like on 9/17/2020 from NBAR.
Okay. So a year ago, we saw it.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, John.
I remember visiting this site with my wife, not with other members of the board. I suspect the pandemic had hit. I can't remember if there were story poles, but I think maybe there was just along the ridge.
We did provide story poles and we have that documentation.
And are we under the height allowable, I assume, and height limits and maximum heights? We're under all of that?
Well, yeah, because it's been approved. I mean, they've got a land use permit.
But they've
We're
added,
working on the little additions that they want to do. To this
but
whole-
they're adding 12 inches to the height of it.
Let's
So
put
then
it
what is
another
the
way.
total- the question
Ryan,
would
what
be-
is the total height of the project, please?
What's the total height? Yeah, from finished floor to ridge line
Not finished floor, grade.
or grade, whatever.
Ryan, please.
We're at, hold on, sorry. You go to the sections, sorry, it's page,
Well, yeah, because
So we have the chimney height is at 356.
No, it's the
Yeah.
top of the roof,
No.
not the chimney.
Bridge.
The ridge.
No, I know.
The ridge to the finished grade. What's the height?
352 to 24. It was 24 feet from the subfloor, and then that's 2 feet, so it'd be 26 feet.
Overall height of the building.
Yes, from the ridge to the ridge line. Yes.
Okay.
And what's our allowable, Kimberly?
35.
35.
Okay. Okay, all right. All right, anybody else have any questions? Okay, let me go to open public comment. Anyone here for item number 2, 801 San Ysidro Lane?
Bill, I didn't receive any, it was renoticed and I didn't receive any comment letters and nobody has their hand up. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sharon. Let's close public comment. Let's go to board members' comments. Don Sharp, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think given the existing approval a year ago and the moderate changes, I have nothing further to add. I think it's okay.
Okay, all right, thank you, Don. Tip, what are your thoughts?
I agree with Don. I have no further comments.
Okay, John Watson.
I think it's fine, preliminary, final on consent.
Does anybody have anything besides that to add? Dave?
No, let's go for it.
No, I think it's consistent with the original approval and with the height limits.
Okay, so come back for preliminary and final on consent.
Thank you.
All right, thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Let's go to item 3, 1422 East Valley Road, here for concept review, preliminary and final, all in one. Looks like. And there is a
Sorry, 20 square feet.
memorandum here from the planner. Current request is to enlarge the master bedroom of an approved but not constructed single-family residence. Of an approved but not constructed single-family residence. Since MBAR's approval of the project in September of 2020, the applicant has been granted a revision to the previous approval, which reflects a reconfiguration interior room layout, updated window and door layout, altered building detail using approved materials, minor adjustments to approved landscaping, a reduction in the total building area, and reduced size of additions compared to what had been reviewed and approved by MBAR and through the prior land use permit. The new request will add 220 square feet to the previously approved revision. There will be no change in the roof height or to the approved exterior materials and lighting. Okay, so do we have the applicant online? Give us your name and tell us your project.
Hi, my name is Stefan Eder. I'm from Mosaic Architects, and I'm here with my team and the owner, Robert and Christine Schwab. You might see them on camera as well. Is there any way we submitted a presentation that is much easier to understand, where we isolated key documents that shows the minimal scope of the work?
Yeah.
And if it's easier, we can actually, if Karen could run the screen there, yeah, we can work that as well. So my quick sketch here shows the approved. Wow, this is okay. In black, it shows the approved main house with the ADU, and we're adding the little annex on the southeast side of the property. And on the next sheet, you will see that we're taking the gable end and we're simply pushing it out by 11 foot 4 inches. We're not changing any of the building height, not changing any of the configuration. Materials stay the same, lighting stays the same. We're using the same language as the house already has and is approved. On this elevation facing south, there's actually no change because we're taking the same design of the gable end. We're simply pushing it forward a little bit. And then on the next side, you will actually see where it's facing east. The pink line is the approved outline, and the red line is where we're pushing the south side out by adding the 220 square feet.
Okay. All right.
It's actually blissfully straightforward. We had a better presentation planned, but it sounds like
No,
I
that's
didn't find it
No,
find
I
it very
think,
clear.
I think this is great. I
pretty
think we
clear.
should Move this fast as we can.
Pretty clear. All right. Well, thank you for that. Did you finish your presentation there?
It could be finished, yes.
Yeah, very good. All right, thank you. Let's
you.
go on to questions of the board members. Does anyone have any questions? No.
I'm assuming the FAR is still okay.
Yes, it is, Dave. I checked it.
Yeah,
Okay.
John, did you
we're
have any
10% under.
Do you have any questions, John?
No, thank
No.
you, Mr. Chairman.
Dave, any questions?
That was my question. Thanks.
Okay. Claire, anything?
No questions?
And Don, anything from you?
Questions?
No questions? Tip, questions?
No questions.
Okay, all right, let's go to public comment. Anybody in the audience that'd like to speak to this item number 3?
No, Bill, thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. We'll close public comment, go to board members' comments.
I would
John?
like to, if
Okay.
nobody has any further comments, I'd like to make a motion for preliminary final approval.
Okay, does everyone agree with that?
Mr. Chairman, just under a comment, I did have a chance to review all of the drawings, and the details that we asked for, et cetera, are on the drawing. So I think Claire's motion is definitely in order. And to that extent, I will second it.
All right, John seconded the motion for preliminary and final approval. All those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, congratulations.
Hey, Bill, can you pick
Thank
up
you.
the meeting a little bit?
appreciate
We're
it.
kind of going slow here.
All right.
No, I'm trying to go fast, John. I want to get.
and Bill, I'm stepping down this item.
Okay, tip is down on this one.
Thank you.
37 South Jameson Lane. This is the one we had a site visit today. They are here for a further conceptual review. Let's read the MBAR minutes, site visit and installation of story poles, which is good. Consider articulating roof line and or utilizing the height exceptions provided under the ordinance. Landscape will be important. One member suggests utilizing well-designed, interesting, or unique garage doors. All right, Zach, you want to give us your presentation?
Yes, sir. Let's pull up the drawings, por favor. All right, here we go. So we're on for further conceptual. Everyone's kind of seen this before. Thanks for coming to the site this morning to see the story poles. I hope you have a better idea of how the building fits in the context. So since we've seen this project before, I kind of want to jump straight to the renderings that we did. That's probably the biggest change from the last set. So if you go to page 2, we can start with those. So why don't you zoom in on the top one there. So this is a view of entering the motor court from the gate. So essentially you're seeing both the attached garage on the left and the detached garage on the right. We have a wood arbor spanning the two to kind of create this grand entrance. And we've really thought about the landscaping and how we can use the landscaping to screen the garages. So you really get this feel like you're kind of in the jungle going through this cool space. One thing that you might notice is in the previous meeting, the garage doors were on this side of the entry. So you could see them while you come into the court. We've actually moved them to the other side. So essentially, every time you come to the house, you get to go into this cool motor court and see the entire structure. So if you go down to the second rendering now, so this is a bird's eye view of the motor court right after you enter. We want to do some really interesting paving with some kind of, stone inlay design on the center. And essentially we have points of the compass, south, east, west, north, and each kind of point has its own special ending. So we have the main building on the south side. We have the ADU and cabana buildings on the west side. The garage is to the east, and then you can't really see it, but there will be a little fountain feature on the north side to kind of culminate that zone. If you go to the next page, so this is a dead-on view of the entry of the main house. You have your garages on the left and your ADU and cabana on the right side. So we want to do this really cool kind of tropical palm tree grove with kind of very formal like hedging and landscaping in between to define the axes a little bit better. Again, the building is pretty much all plaster finish, and we have metal canopies over some of the openings. We have metal railings, metal windows and doors, and then we have some wood features that kind of span the decks. Next one, so this is the opposite side of the house, looking north to the beautiful mountains in the distance. So this is a view of the pool and the rear deck. On the ground floor, you have your master bedroom on the far left there, which will have an awesome view out to the landscape. You have your kind of main space in between, and then your family room kitchen on the right. As you go up to the second story, you have your bedroom 2 and 3 on left and right, and they each have their own deck, a little private deck for each of those bedroom suites. So that's it for the renderings. So keep going. We have site photos, which I'm sure no one really needs to see now that we've all been there. After this, we have the grading and drainage plan. So here's our survey. And then the next plan, we've provided a grading and drainage plan, very preliminary, but the goal here is to limit grading. I think we have about 700 cubic yards of fill, and we're trying to balance that with 700 cubic yards of cut. So we don't have any import or export. And essentially, we're trying to do a very balanced and minimal site. And it's really only happening around the area of the building. Again, the site is pretty large, but we're pretty limited to our building envelope to the northwestern portion. So the majority of the site is pretty much remaining as is. You go down to the landscape plan, which we've also added.
I don't, is it separate?
I think it's a separate set, yeah.
Yeah.
Part 2.
Yeah, I'll kind of use this as our site plan, as a representative from Earthform will be presenting the landscape at the end. But just to overview, again, the work is very focused to the northwest part of the property. And this just kind of gives you an idea of how all the buildings are laid out. And again, this hasn't changed much from an architectural standpoint. So we can go on to the floor plans on the next page, actually 2 pages, yeah.
We don't need.
So these are the floor plans of the main building. Again, as you enter from the north, you have this really exciting public space with a lounge and a bar. Master bedroom wing on the west side with a small office, and then you got your kitchen, and dining on the east there. Floor 2 again is just 2 bedroom suites on the left and the right, and then they each have their own roof decks. So here's a roof plan of the main building. And then we're also showing the accessory floor plans as well. Again, we have a gym and a cabana and an ADU, which are kind of a mirror image of each other. So the elevations, I think the previous meeting we had the north east and south of the main building. So we've added a new west elevation of the main building here. Again, kind of showing these cool garage doors, which was recommended by the board. And again, they're on the west side of the garages now, not the east side as last time. It was also a board comment to raise the center portion of the building, if you look at the north elevation, to kind of get rid of some of the flatness that was occurring before. So now we've kind of gone up and down with these different forms to create more of a hierarchy here. If you go to the next page, we got the accessory elevations as well. Again, these are pretty simple buildings. We're going to try to use landscaping to kind of, hide them within the landscape, and kind of, pretty small buildings, so they won't have much of an impact on the site. And then lastly, we've provided some sections for you, just so you can get the idea of how the building is working technically. So with that, I'm going to pass it to Earthform to do the landscape.
Zach, do you have a material board before you get off?
Not for this one, John.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Laurel? Yeah.
Yes. This is Laurel Brady from Earthform Design. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Well, Zach did a very nice job showing the landscape in his renderings, which were beautiful. But I'll just go through and run you through the landscape plan. Are you blowing up a little bit? Okay, great. Thank you.
Remember,
as you saw,
okay.
Okay, as you saw on the site today, we're pretty well screened with oak trees and others on the east, south, and west portions of the site. We are adding a privacy hedge, which is actually in along the north edge, along with other plantings, which I'll get to in a minute. So as you come in the driveway, where it's lined, a permeable driveway, it is lined with the date palms, and you enter into the motor court, which is also surrounded as a date palm court with Mediterranean fan palms and giant bird of paradise in the back. And the landscape design it reflects the contemporary nature of the architecture, with a lot of axes that go through the site and take you from one portion to the other. As you enter into the ADU and the cabana area, they have their own private little yards that are separated by some hedging, and that's the only area where we have small areas of turf. Then as you go down the gravel paths between the cabana and the gym, we have a small axial courtyard with fruit trees. And then that gravel paths take you around to the pool area, which will be accented by 2 date palms on either side and architectural form plants below that. And then another gravel path will take you around to another patio on the east side, which also is flanked by fruit trees. So we're really limiting the landscaping to right around the house, and the slopes around the house will have either myoporum or carapia that'll take up the slopes, and then that will transition into the native grasses that will then go into the oak tree areas. As per the client's request, we're trying to create a very nice tropical palette with large palms, large bird of paradise, bougainvillea, flax, agave, and keeping the formality throughout. Presentation.
Laurel, does that complete your presentation?
That's my presentation.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's go to questions of the board. Claire, did you have any questions?
No.
Okay. Tip, do you have any questions?
He's
Oh,
the applicant.
Yeah, right, sorry. John, questions?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Don Sharp, questions? Don, are you there? You muted?
You're on mute, Don.
No questions, thank
No
you.
questions, all right. Dave Mendro, any questions?
No questions, Bill, thanks.
Okay, and I didn't either, I didn't have any questions. Okay, let's go to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to speak to this item number 4, 1437 South Jameson Lane?
Bill, no one has raised their hand and I didn't receive any letters. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sharon. All right, let's close public comment and go to board comments. John Watson, what do you think of this project?
Well, I said last time that I think this is a great project. Seeing the renderings, I do my own renderings in my office, and the quality of the light in the renderings greatly affects the emotional response that I have. And this is a fairly harsh light that you have shown in your renderings. And it brings up an interesting question in my mind, which is, if this building really is as hard, and please take this in a loving way, harsh as it is. And I'm wondering, my comment is, are you proposing color, texture, detailing? For instance, is this a sand plaster? Is this a steel trowel plaster? Are these very hard edged corners? Are they hand formed and very soft? Things of that nature that will, the quality of the wood, the quality of the railings. I mean, I think that the bones are here. I think it's a very nice building, and I will be very curious as to how it is finished out to determine whether or not it has the softness that I would expect in most residential buildings, or whether or not it is going to be very hard, which would steel trowels, tight corners, things of that nature, which would suggest more of a commercial building. So I like the building. I just am wondering where it's going to go next. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, John. Don Sharp, what are your thoughts?
Well, I don't echo John's comments. I think that the architect will, as imagined, and will conclude with the best for all the detailing and so forth. So I think it's an approvable project.
All right.
No questions.
Thank you. Claire, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, there are thoughts and questions, and it has to do actually with the landscaping and everything in relation to that. So I wanted to know whether because the landscaper was there today. Is there in the grading, we did see a slight or a drawing of the proposed grading. Where I'm trying to go to is that right now, the fact that we've got that amount of grading, and how can that be extended out so that the flat of the ground kind of meshes with the mound? You know, I mean, I know you've done a little bit of that, but it seems like and then the landscaper has said that around the house it's very semi-tropical or tropical, you know, and then all of a sudden the mound then goes back down to the ground level and we're now in a grassy meadow. it kind of, it's jarring to me, that's all. I just think that needs to be worked out a little bit, because we've got one kind of plant material up on the mound and down to the edges, and then we go almost to, to a native grasses. And those two things, landscape-wise, in my world, don't quite work together yet. And so I'm just asking the applicant to really look at that before they come back. And it's in that transition, that we saw, somehow that this mound, and then the applicant referred to the building envelope. Is there a designated building and envelope? And is that envelope just the mound, or where is the building envelope?
It's dashed in, at least if I'm reading this right, it looks like it's dashed on the line there.
Oh, there it is. Okay, see, I didn't see that earlier. That's what I was.
Now it does.
So you really are, okay. Well, that's what I was looking for, was to find out, see, this project is a beautifully sized lot, but it's been constrained by this building envelope, which is where the mound is, so I think both the applicant and the landscape architect need to figure out how to transition this, more with the planting.
Oh, thank you, Claire. Dave Mendro, do you have what are your comments?
Yeah, my main concern prior to today was the mass bulk and scale and how it might impact the community or the neighbors. And by seeing the story poles out there, I think it's well sited and is not going to result in impacts. I think it's a very nice design, constrained area they have to build in on that pad. And I actually prefer the roofs all flat like they originally proposed. So I would approve it that way. I did this way, but I thought it was stronger just being clean and simple. But I can support the project as it's proposed now.
All right, thank you, Dave. I'm going to step back a little bit on a question to Kimberly. Not paying as close enough attention to the development envelope, but that pool, can you do pools? Can you do paving? Can you do walkway and improvements like that outside of this building envelope? I don't know if we know what the particulars of it are.
Mr. Chair, the answer is yes and no. It depends on how the building envelope was described in the map or other entitlement that created the lot or established the building envelope. So the planner will need to read the conditions of the previous map to determine what was limited to being inside the development envelope, and if anything was allowed to be outside the development envelope.
Well, and sometimes further grading as well. I know that.
Exactly. They can be written so rigidly that all grading, all entries, all utilities, all have to go into that established building envelope. Sometimes only certain types of structures. Sometimes landscaping and hardscaping can be outside the envelope, but buildings have to be inside. So it runs the gamut. It's very specific to the condition written.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kimberly. Well, we'll let the planner work that detail out and with the applicant. My comments, I'm fine with the building. I think it looks handsome. I do hear both John and Claire's comments. I think that a softness, certainly, I think we know the work that Warner Group does, that they tend to do quality materials. So, but the renderings do look like, looks like commercial drive-it sort of finish, whereas I think it's going to be, smooth plaster, hand trowel, but maybe sharp corners. So I think it'll hopefully have some softness. So I understand and agree with John on that. And the devil will be in the details, as we've mentioned before, on the finishes and the connections and the railings and all of the rest of it. And then with Claire's comment, it's like an island sort of floating on top of this native plant material around it. And I think I like your idea, Clara, the blending of the materials of the native plantings into the tropicals, you know, that it blends a little better than it just being kind of a stark, you know, wham in your face kind of a transition, as well as, you know, if the hill could be graded to be a little more organic or hidden from it being so filled, so structured, that maybe that would help as well. So I think, you know, maybe that blending into the site a little better, if it can happen with the restrictions of the building envelope, that would be the caveat. So I think generally the building is great, looks good. I think that's approvable. It's just some of these items of softness and blending that maybe would be beneficial. So that being said, you were here for further concept review. I guess you'll come back for preliminary
And final.
and final, and we'll see you when you get work with your planner on what you can do there or not. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to comment. This board has been very concerned about site lighting, and I would ask that you be modest on the way in, because my experience with this board is that you will not get approved unless you are modest. Just as a comment. Thank you.
What site, right? What did you say, John?
Lighting.
Oh, lighting. Oh, lighting. We haven't seen a lighting. Oh, okay.
And when he proposes it, I am suggesting that he be modest.
Oh, more than modest.
Will do.
My point of view.
Very good. All right. Thank you all. Okay, let's
Guys,
go.
thanks.
Thank you.
Item number 5, 62 Humphrey Road. This is here for further conceptual review, preliminary approval. We have meeting minutes from the last meeting. MBAR appreciates response to previous comments. Restudy garage, consider lowering grade, finish floor elevations, consider rotating garage. Rework gables, consider reducing size of garage, eliminate third bay. All right, so is the applicant online? Oh, there's a memorandum from the planner. The plans incorrectly identified the height of the cabana as 12 feet, 1.5 inches. In order to allow the cabana in the rear setback, the maximum height allowable is 12 feet. The applicant is aware of this and will make updates to the plans to comply with the 12-foot maximum. Okay.
Okay.
All right, applicant, please tell us your name and show us your project.
Good afternoon, board. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. In reference to that memorandum, yes, that was a technical error on our part while doing construction buildups for the roof at the cabana. So we will and fully intend to comply with all height ordinances or rules within the setback. So thank you for your time today. If we go over to the site plan, which I believe we'll start on that page right there. Yep, well, right here. Coming about the garage, we had our last hearing on September 9th, we had really favorable reviews to the overall architectural character of the project, the phasing of it, the placements of the accessory structures and the use. I want to just remind the board that right now the driveway sort of, kind of does that shape in magenta, and that's all existing. And right now there's an accessory parking spot here, and there's 2-car parking right here under a structure. And what we evaluated rotating, if you go one more page down to the actual site plan, in reference to rotating the garage, we actually did do a study of that, and the garage rotated would end up about right here. And what that does is the neighbor to the north now stares at the driveway and the side of the garage. We still have to have guest parking here. As you guys may know, in this area, since the Miramar has opened, street parking has become incredibly difficult. Not only Miramar, but just Butterfly Beach in general. So for a growing family that's going to be 5 people, that's here for the long run, making sure that they have parking for both friends and their vehicles is pretty important for this particular project and parcel. So we're not cutting down on our really available driveway that's existing in this area. And instead we're adding a lot of hardscape on the north side here while constricting the actual area of open space that they have. Right now, this would actually be 19 feet to the closest point of the house, which isn't really enough room to fit a pool. Our pool needs to sort of be a minimum of 12 feet by 40 feet to even have a pool cabana. So everything becomes really quite truncated. And then lastly, the workshop in the back is now visible from the street. And while that structure is small in nature, that structure is also doesn't have the same level of character that the garage can have due to its height limit and the general vicinity of it in the rear yard setback. So what we are proposing to do is we're maintaining the 3-car garage due to the aforementioned parking issues that we are currently having down on these streets due to the Miramar. And we have made this garage extremely residential in nature, done gable alignment and done elevation plane adjustment to give it a varied facade that more closely resembles the main house of the actual original structure over here. Lastly, we have reduced the grade 2 feet so that it is 2 feet lower. The driveway is 2 feet less intense and steep. And all of these materials would be commensurate with the main house, wood carriage doors, white stucco, and a Class A fire rated shake roof, despite this being not in a high fire area. If we look at the exterior elevations, you can see right here, these are the main house exterior elevations, the same as you guys have seen last time. We've provided both Revit elevations, technical drawings, and hand rendered for your review. The next page down here. This is the front elevation. So the front elevation remains largely, entirely unchanged. Stucco, we have one added window right there, which you guys have all seen as the board. The circular window here is being proposed to be squared out, which you guys have seen in the previous presentation. And the overall character of this with a dormer and then that elevation with a small peak here is mirrored onto the garage elevations. If we go to the garage elevation page, yep. So here we are showing a gabled structure over the southernmost bay of the garage. Again, carriage style wood doors. We are showing a small window up above with an eave vent or a gable vent. And then we're actually pushing this whole edge of the facade back 2 feet. And we'll have a shed break over that area. That'll be a copper standing seam metal roof right here that's going to naturally patina to a rich brown, not the green copper, the brown copper, that's going to most closely match the wood carriage doors. We've then centered 2 small dormers above these garage doors to reduce the effect of the shake roof or the sort of plane of the shake roof facing the street. And then rather than, have a sort of blank facade for trash, which we are housing under this area here, we're proposing a door that's a wood door with glass divided lights that feels like it would be a front door to a home with a gas lantern on the side of it right here. We have one vertical beam right here. We have a second vertical beam right here with a horizontal structural beam right there holding that sort of shed roof up. And then we have our typical vertical wood fence going to the 10 feet to the property line there. The east facing the backyard mirrors the overall character of that with 2 dormers facing the backyard and an even distribution of windows matching the front. This is our south facade. So this faces the the side yard, or effectively front yard, the yard between the main house and the garage. Again, we have a glass side light or a glass divided light door, 2 windows, and a gable window up top. And then on the north side, we have a deep overhang where we're going to be hiding or placing all of our trash components, trash recycling, all of that there, so that it's fully screened from view in entirety, but not inside the garage where any odors or spills can happen. Those are the updates that we have to the garage. The remaining structures are all the same as you have seen them. FAR is equal to what it was before. There's been no change. Accessory structures have had no change to overall character. And this is our response to your comments from the last hearing.
All right.
I saw a gate proposed. Could you discuss that, please?
If you go to the site plan, down one more page. There is a gate right here. That's a driveway gate. And then, Tom, what elevation was that on? On the garage, technical elevations, not rendered elevations.
And that's a brand new gate, correct?
That is a brand new gate. You are correct,
Yes.
sir.
And
Thank you for showing that to us.
So I believe the technical drawings for the garage right here. This is a wood paneled gate that's going to match the cadence of the wood panel for the carriage doors. It is a sliding gate that will, so you can access the driveway, and then the height of the gate is right here. It's about 5 feet tall right there. And then these are existing site walls right here that are old and part of the existing sort of character of the residence.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. John, did you have any further questions?
Yes, I do. Have you reviewed that gate with the fire department, please?
So this particular gate has not been sent through the fire department, but we do know and are aware of the Knox box specifications and areas of which, or the distance that it's going to need to be placed from the property line. And we are aware that this will need to be an automatic gate for the property owner that will open upon arrival, as it is too close to the right of way to have vehicle staging.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you, John. Claire, did you have any questions?
yes, I was wondering if the dormers on the garage, is the garage designed in interiors? I mean, is there a second floor to the garage or a storage unit, or are
It's
those
just an attic.
Those are just decorative dormers then?
You are correct. Those are trying to ensure that the garage feels residential as opposed to a garage. So they are
Okay.
decorative dormers to an attic.
Great, perfect.
All right. Thank you, Claire. Tip, did you have any questions?
No, I do not. Thank you.
No. Don Sharp, any questions?
And just one, when you juxtapose the front elevation of the garage out portions of it out 2 feet, do you consider doing something at the rear elevation rather than just having the wall continue and the roof doing something but looking very odd, that the roof and change in the roof seems to not correspond with the rear wall?
Yeah, we did not study that, as that rear wall faces the interior sort of backyard framed by the workshop and the cabana, and isn't really seen from the public view at all. But I think that we can absolutely consider a small pitch break there to break that elevation up.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Don. Dave Mendro, did you have any questions?
No questions, thanks.
And I don't think I had any questions either. So let's go to public.
Bill, can I ask 2 more questions, please?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
I have my 2 questions.
Thank you. I would like to explore this gate a little bit more. How did you determine the width of it, please?
So right now, the width of the gate is actually matching the width of the driveway that's existing. We're not pursuing a new curb cut. We aren't pursuing, new crazy paving materials there. So that's indicative of the width of the existing driveway.
And what is that width?
It's 20 feet if we zoom in a little bit.
Okay.
And then the other reason why we like a wide gate for this use is because the driveway is relatively constrained. So we want to make sure that there's no pinch point for vehicles to enter or exit.
Can we see the site plan, please?
Yes.
Yeah, that's where I was going, John. Because the fire department only requires 14. So
Why would you, okay, so Jeff, why would you consider that a pitch point if you took the southern portion of that entry and reduced it from 20 to 16 or 14? Why would that reduce it, please? And add landscaping is where I'm going with that comment.
Yeah, one of the things that we're being conscious of, I'm open to accommodating that exploration. We have existing stone site walls here, and one of them has a mailbox that's integral. And we felt it would be prudent to use that existing site wall as the ending of the gate. However, we're amenable to bringing this out and matching that stonework to create a new, continuation of that wall to have the operability of that gate reduced to 16 feet.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That is all I have.
All right, thank you, John. Let's go to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to speak to this item number 5?
No, thank you, Bill.
Okay, thank you, Sharon. Let's close public comment and go to members of the board's comments. Tip, what are your thoughts on this project?
Well, I would prefer to turn the garage the other way as what we suggested last time. I think it'd be better access for all, for the project behind it. But I think I still feel it's too close to the driveway, the way it's designed. That's the first impression you see it when you're in the driveway. So that's still my comment.
Okay, thank you, Tip. Claire, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that if this is a garage, and given the character of all of the other parts of this project, it's an older building, and all of what we saw on the site visit, it's really a fabulous piece of property. And but I think the garage, to me, it occurs as overdone. If it's going to stay where it is, that's what pretty much that it has. Now we've decided that it has to be that way, or unless he turns around and decides something else. I think it should be more of simple structure. And where I'm going is, I think these dormers don't need to be there. It just should be a simple garage looking structure, consistent with the other styles of the other buildings that are built on this site. This is kind of a brand new fancy garage. For me, it doesn't need to be that way. And for me, just taking off the dormers and making it a very simple structure facing the street would be my way to go. That's all.
Right.
I'm okay. We've sorted out that it has to be where it is, because that's where the applicant wants it. But I just don't think these dormers just, I mean, it's a garage, just have a nice roof, clean roof there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Claire. Don Sharp, what are your comments?
Thank you. A couple things. First of all, I accept the applicant's reasoning for not turning it 90 degrees. And the bottom side of that is that it creates an elevation that I think still needs some work. The fact that the dormers are added and then the gable on the right-hand side is put in there, but the roof just continues all the way, just like they're both pasted on. And I think that the roof, the ridge, the long ridge, has to be broken to relate to the broken facade. And as I said earlier, I think that the rear elevation of the garage also must conform to the juxtaposition of the front elevation. So it really has some character and doesn't just seem like it does now, which, as Claire said, we're just taking a big box and trying to manipulate it so that it appears broken up, but it doesn't really. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Don. John Watson, your thoughts?
I concur with Don that I'll accept its location. I don't know if we need six spaces or not, but that's probably not for me to say. For some reason, the movie Driving Miss Daisy keeps coming into my mind with this project. I think this building was probably built about the time that movie was supposed to have taken place. And I think that what happened there was like a barn that became part of the architecture of that set. I may not be remembering everything perfectly, but maybe, so to simplify this, but I'm not so sure that I'm opposed to a building here that has a small amount of character, but I don't think it needs to compete with the house. I think that it is a barn-like structure that would have had horses, that is not unpretentious, etc. And I think that may serve this project well. To me, I think the bigger issue is the width of that gate. That is huge. And I'm not even sure that the fire department's going to be driving onto this site. I'd be extremely surprised if they are. And therefore, not only does it not need to be 20, I don't think it needs to be 16. I think it can probably be down to 12 to 14. And to then get that gate reduced in size, bring in some landscaping that will help settle this building back, the garage building back visually. And if you take, Jeff, did you include the site, the surrounding buildings?
We did, yes. They're
Yeah,
on
could we
page
take
2
a
or
look at that,
3.
please? It's about neighborhood compatibility, right? Isn't that
Yeah.
sort of the driving force? Can you enlarge that? And I don't see things this being particularly inconsistent with where they're going. I think particularly if it's simplified a little bit. But I think that my sense is landscaping is going to go a long way to help settle this project back and give the owner a little bit more privacy in their property. So I think we need to figure out how to get this thing going forward. It is on for preliminary today, and I would love to get this thing moving forward. So I'm not sure exactly where we're going to end up with the style of the architecture, but the site planning and every other aspect except the garage and the size of the gate is good with, I am good with.
All right, thank you, John. Dave Mendro, what are your comments?
Yeah, I'm very aligned with John. The first thing that struck me was the driveway gate. Doesn't seem residential at all and doesn't seem fitting. So I would highly encourage the applicant to study reducing that to a standard or smaller size gate and make sure that it feels right. The proposal to have the garage situated the way it is, I agree with them that this is functional for them and it does help with the off-street parking. And I also agree with the concept of treating the structure so that it doesn't look like a garage. And I think it's headed in that direction. But I think these elevations show to me that the two little dormers don't fit in my mind. And
Thank you.
I think simplification would be very helpful, but I can ultimately support the project the way it's going. It's just the detailing at this point, and especially that driveway gate. So I could see this coming back for preliminary final if they resolve those issues.
All right, thanks, Dave. Yeah, I agree. I appreciate, first of all, that you dropped the garage. I mean, I'd maybe even encourage even a little more drop because as I remember, it was a steep drive up, and that was the feeling I had, was that anything that was going to be set up on top so high off the street was going to make it feel even taller.
Right.
So I would say whatever you can do to drop that garage and maybe even the accessory parking adjacent to it. I mean, you have to then work up some stairs to get up into your yard, but I think you're already going to have to deal with that. And that might actually help sort of this massing of the building closer down to the street. I'm fine with the orientation of it. I agree with the position. It's just the way it is. I don't think you have a lot of room to get much more in there, and you'll eat up your yard if you try to. Also agree with the comments about simplification of the building of the garage. Maybe that one gable runs through from front to back, and you get rid of the dormers and you drop the roof and perpendicular it, and then you don't need to do the porch and the dormers and all the rest of it. But maybe the gable on the far right is a little taller than the roof line of the left side of it or something. But simplification, I think, might be a way to do it. Just those dormers are just tail wagging the dog, I think, maybe on this. And I think, as John mentioned, that the house, let that kind of ring true and be the strong part of the property and make the garage kind of settle back a little bit. In terms of the gate, that's a tough one. I understand your maneuverability, and that we'll have to let you kind of work with the fire department on. It is big. So I'll let you guys work that out, but it sounds like some of the board members would like you to restudy the width of it. So you are here for further concept preliminary approval. I guess we could have you come back for preliminary and final to the full board. Does that sound like that would be?
Well, absolutely. If we're not going to give it preliminary today, then with final on consent, then the whole package preliminary final has got to come back to the full board, in my opinion, because right now, for me, I'm not going to vote to give it preliminary unless something is done about this garage and gate.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, why don't you come back for preliminary final to the full board? And I think you're heading in the right direction anyway. Appreciate the work you've done so far.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to move to continue this project to a future meeting for the applicant to study the size of the entry gate and the simplification of the garage, period.
I will second that motion.
And to return for preliminary and final at the next meeting.
Seconded by Don. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Opposed? All right. Motion carried. Thank you.
appreciate everyone's time this afternoon and thank you for your input.
Thank
Okay,
you.
great, thank you. Let's go on to item 6.363 Woodley Road. It's here for further concept review. Let me read the minutes. MBAR members could not support the project as proposed. Restudy height of pilasters, entry gates and adjacent site walls, restudy material design of entry gate. Okay, we have applicant online.
Yes, this is Paul Seacat from Sharon Associates. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great.
I'm here too. It's Dawn. Dawn Sherry.
All right. Thank you, Don. Go ahead and give us your presentation.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and jump to page 3 on the set. So we did lower the, if you can zoom into that elevation there on the right side. So the top elevation is the as-built gate and pilaster and walls. And this is the one that we submitted last time for your review. And the bottom one is our proposed gate elevation. We did lower the pilasters and also the walls, but we slightly increased the gate height to 7 feet instead of 6. And you can see how much we lowered it on that drawing.
You can see the dashed line is the higher, and then we took the pilasters out. And
then we're also proposing to remove the stone veneer and replacing it with a plaster finish, and the color will be white. So if you zoom out on this page, we're trying to match the one on the bottom left photo. So the gate will have more like a weathered, rustic look to it with white plastered walls.
Okay, great.
And our proposed trash enclosure will also have the same wood rustic look.
All right, great.
And then I think I also submitted a landscape plan for this. I'm not sure if it's like a separate one. There it is. So yeah, so part of the scope, I think the board did not request this last time, but we're gonna actually make the landscape a little cleaner than what's there right now. So we're proposing, there's a couple of gaves right there that's on site right now. We're just gonna relocate them. The bottom photo of the landscape is actually, it's called the morning light. You can see it goes along the front side of the driveway there. There's an existing oak tree that's staying. And we're gonna add the espalier gravia around the trash enclosure to soften the wood, rustic wood finish.
Okay, does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to questions of the board. Any questions? Claire, your mic on?
Yeah, I think it's on.
Yeah,
it's
I
on.
hear you now.
Yeah, I was. My question was, can I see the original site photos? It seemed to me, from what I might remember, that when we reviewed this before, that where your plaster wall is, beyond that, the neighbors, are the neighbors stone walls?
Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, so they're actually going to remove their portion of that wall on the west. So we're stopping our stone wall at the property line.
I say that didn't quite. I didn't quite understand
Stopping the
what you
stone
were
wall
saying.
property line on toward the south.
Yeah, toward the south.
South corner there.
Already been removed.
Yeah, I'm just concerned about the transition of going from what I remembered from the photos and actually having driven by there after the last presentation or before, that what happens in the transition at the property line? We've got a plaster wall, and this gate, and then we go on either side to stone walls. Is that not the way it really is?
We're not doing stone walls at all anymore, Claire. We're breaking off the stone facade of the walls, and we're going to replace with a smooth trowel white plaster finish. And the wall to the west of the property line has already been removed, and it'll transition into a hedge, right?
That's correct.
And
okay. I see. Okay. Now that's what I was after. I'm trying to understand, Don, was how these two different kinds of walls were going to go together. But now what you're telling me is that
all the stone is being
the stone wall that I remembered is going away, and your plaster wall is going to replace that, or fencing is going to replace that.
Okay.
Correct.
Thank you, Claire. Tip, did you have any questions?
Yes, actually I have a question for the planner, because I couldn't tell if is the gate within the front yard setback or is this outside the front yard setback. Can you tell me, Bill?
Kimberly, do you see that there? It looks like it's out. If you zoom in, Dave, maybe the top.
It does appear that it is outside of the 50-foot setback from the center line and the 20-foot setback from the edge of the right of way.
So in that case, what is the maximum allowable height for the gate?
Well, we're going for the MCUP.
I think that the gate is above 6 feet, even outside of the setback. It needs a land use permit. What I don't know is the conditional use permit trigger.
It needs a CUP.
It needs a minor CUP.
Yeah.
It does need a minor CUP in Montecito. Yeah. Okay. Montecito is a little different than the rest of the county.
It looks like actually.
We're months into that. We were going to apply for that anyway, even with the last design.
It looks like it's actually inside the setback, though, the 50 foot.
Yeah.
So you're inside the 50-foot setback.
That's right.
Does that change
So
anything?
that means you have to apply for conditional use permit?
Correct.
So the conditional use permit, it has to do with the height of the gate. Is that anything above 6 feet requires a conditional use permit? Isn't that right?
The gate and the walls.
And the wall, yeah. Well, the height of the wall, yeah.
Yes.
And it had to go to the Montecito Planning Commission?
That is correct.
No, we just needed to go to MBAR to proceed with the MCUP. It's part of the MCUP requirements.
But I think I had to go to the MPC after that. All right, thank you. That's my question.
All right, thank you, Tip. Don Sharp, questions?
No questions, thank you.
John Watson, did you have any questions?
I do. The lower right-hand corner elevation shows how much the wall is lowered, but it does not show the height from the grade to the top of the wall. So is that 6 feet? Is it more than 6 feet?
It really varies there, John, because the grade kind of slopes down a little bit. I think if we have a street view, I think we had a street view last time I submitted one, those photos. I'm not sure if
They're not in the folder, I don't think.
But you should be able to know as the architect what the height of the adjoining grade to the top of those walls is. That's what I'm asking.
They're about, it varies. I think I would say about 4 feet to 6 feet.
Okay, do they go over 6 feet?
No.
No.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, John. Dave Mendro, did you have any questions?
No questions, Bill, thanks.
Okay, and I did not have any questions. So let's go to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to speak to this item numbers?
No, thank you, Bill.
Okay, all right, thank you. Close public comment. Let's go to members of the board's comments. John Watson, what are your comments?
Well, the height of walls provisions in the Montecito ordinance actually permit slightly above the 6 foot requirement for small portions of it, specifically for conditions like this, where you have a sloping site and maybe just the corner before it goes vertical, you can just clip that a little bit higher than 6 feet. Kimberly would have to chime in exactly how that works. So, but it appears to me that the wall complies, which it did not before, to the 6 foot height, which is great, which then means that the fence or the gate is the only thing that doesn't comply. I wonder why. You know, we need to make comments to the planning commission. I think my comment would be, I'm not sure why this has to be over 6 feet. So
You
the
mean the gate
sidewalls,
itself?
the gate itself, the walls, thank you very much. I think you've done a very nice job on this. My comment is, I don't know why, and I have not heard a compelling reason from the applicant why this needs to be just 1 foot over the zoning ordinance limit.
John, I don't know if you want me to answer that or not. Is it appropriate for me to answer at this time?
That's up to Bill.
Yeah, go ahead, Don. Let's hear it.
We were told, this is contradicting what you're saying, but we were told by our planner that anything over 6 feet, even anything over 6 feet required an MCUP. So,
Kimberly,
Mr. Chair, if I could, I've got the ordinance language pulled up in front of me. So for that portion of the wall that is within the front yard setback, if it's greater than 6 feet and the gate posts are greater, if any are like greater than 8 feet, then it requires a minor conditional use permit. If the walls within the front yard setback are 6 feet or less, they're exempt. For that, the portion of the wall or gate that's outside of the setbacks, if the fence is more than 6 feet and the gate posts are more than 8 feet, it simply requires a land use permit.
but there is a provision in there about sloping sites, Kimberly, that
A maximum of 10% of the total linear length of a wall or fence may be allowed to exceed that if there are topographic or other unavoidable conditions that will destroy its architectural integrity.
well, that it's clearly within that. So where I'm going with this, Don, is you've got a little bit of play here with that 6 feet because of the sloping nature of your site. And if you drop that gate down to 6 feet, you walk.
No planning commission.
Thank you very much. Have a good day. Enjoy your life. You know, you walk. So that's my comment.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, John.
6 feet.
Yeah. Let's see, Dave Mendro, what are your comments?
Again, my comments are the same as John. I really like what you've done with the wall. You've solved that issue very nicely. I would highly recommend you lower the gate to 6 feet, which I think will look better and it'll get you out of the whole bureaucratic process. So that's what I would encourage you to do, but I can support the project.
Yeah, okay, thanks, Dave. Don, did I ask you your comments?
Oh, but I do have one comment, and that is I do feel, as everyone else, the gate should be 6 feet. And I think the relationship of the top of the adjacent wall to the top of the gate can be increased and would look better if they weren't quite so close, and the gate should be 6 feet. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Tip, did you have comments?
Is it my turn?
Yes, please.
Okay, so when I look at this, I see that the entrance is coming down. You have a retaining wall on the left, retaining wall on the right. Am I right? Is it coming down or coming up? Do you have a question for the applicant?
I think it's pretty flat going in. Is that what you're asking, Tip, going in?
Yeah, it's going in. Is it going down or going up the slope?
Oh, yeah.
It's going down. It's
Going
going
up.
down the driveway.
Going down. Yeah, they go down and the driveway goes down.
Oh, not up, goes down.
Yeah, goes down into the property.
I see. Yeah, so when I look at basically going down, you have a low retaining wall. I assume it's like a 2 feet, something like that on the left, on the right. So because of that, the gates, the visual effect, the gate probably will be much less than 6 feet because you're going down to the hole. So because of that, I wouldn't mind, supporting this at 7 feet, but I just realized that it's quite a bit of work getting that approved. So I could go either way, 6 or 7 feet.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Tip. Claire, what were your comments?
I don't have a problem with the gate being either 6 or 7 feet. Let's put it that way. Yes, it would be easier for the applicant to go for the 6 feet, not having to go through the conditional use permit problem, but that's up to them. 6 feet would work fine for me. You had originally you only wanted a 6 feet, so I don't know why we want to push it up to 7, but that's up to you guys. Either way, I'm okay. The walls I'm fine with, the plaster walls, the size and the height and, all of that, no problem. It's just, and the gate, it doesn't matter to me whether it's 6 or 7. It's up to the applicant to choose that.
All right, thank you, Claire. Yeah, I agree. I could go either way, 6 or 7. I agree with the board. Obviously it's going to be easier at 6 feet. So, we'll let you decide that one. The gate itself is fine. I think the devil in the details there too. How you frame it out and trim it and cap it material wise and all the rest of it. We'll be looking to see how that all looks, and then any lighting that you might propose if you are. Be careful with all of that stuff for night sky compliance. That being said, so this is just
Mr. Chair, rather than letting the lighting issue slide by here, which you're doing by your statement, if there is going to be lighting out here, I'd like to know it now, not when they come. Are you proposing having lighting on the pillars? Are you proposing any lighting at the front of, along the wall? What are you doing it? Proposing anything like that?
No.
No, did you say?
No.
No lighting?
No.
Okay, all right.
No lighting. Okay, fine. Then
All right.
let's move on. I just didn't want to have a surprise later on. We've got big, things on top.
So,
Mr. Chairman, can we ask Kimberly what the path forward is? I believe it's the following. I believe if they lower the gate to 6 feet, there is no reason for an application to be here, and this project is finished. I believe that if it's above 7 feet, we need to make comments to the Planning Commission, positive or negative, wherever we go, and then we need to have that written down, and it goes to the Planning Commission. Am I right about that, Kimberly?
Mr. Chair,
yes.
actually, if the gate is outside of the setback, which I believe it is, can be over 6 feet in height, and it simply needs a land use permit. They would not be required to get a conditional use permit. Don, can you confirm that the gate and the gate posts are out of the front yard setback?
No, they're not.
It's within this.
They're within the setback?
Yeah.
Then yes, you are looking at, with a 7-foot gate, you are looking at a minor conditional use permit that's heard by the Montecito Planning Commission.
So let's rephrase this. They're doing a lot of work on this wall. If they move that entry gate back about a foot while they're doing the wall, they can have their 7-foot gate with a land use permit.
That is correct.
We're okay with the 6-foot gate, guys.
6-foot gate, and I believe that they're done, right? There's no permit, anything?
That is correct. They would not need a land use permit and therefore not need Board of Architecture review.
All right.
Merry Christmas.
We're done here too.
You're done.
Okay. All right.
And Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Go build your wall on your 6-foot gate, you guys.
All right, thank you. Let's go on to item 7, 652 Park Lane. Is preliminary final approval. Let's see here. Planner, phase 1 historic resource techno report prepared. Determined that the existing residents in carport are not eligible for listing as historic resources under County Santa Barbara criteria, and that proposed project would not result in significant impact to a historic resource. Was there minutes on this too, or no? So this is the first time we're seeing this? Okay.
No, we saw it in June.
Okay. According to phase 1, it was built in 1920 and the carport was constructed after that. Permits could not be located for the existing carport and shed that extended into the secondary front setback on Pomar Lane and were constructed after the adoption of the local zoning ordinance. Consequently, applicant is elected to demolish the shed and remove the roof from the existing carport structure, maintaining 3 walls within a height of no greater than 6 feet to remain. To streamline the project approval, the applicant will need to obtain a variance for reconstruction of the carport in the primary front setback. Okay. Okay, is the applicant online? Oh, no minutes. Okay. There weren't any minutes, right, Dave? No. Okay. Is the applicant online?
Yes.
Please give us your name and show us your presentation.
I'm Stefan Olch, a member of Schul Studios. Today presenting with me is my principal, Kevin Hackett, and our landscape architect, Scott Menzel. We're to return for final with full details. So addressing comments from the board at the last meeting that we were here, we did not have a color material board present. That's actually on the next page, page 2. So we'd like to start with that. So to start off the presentation, again, we mentioned that the last time the entire house will be an integral color stucco. We intend this to be a Santa Barbara smooth finish. The color will be a Benjamin Moore Genesis white with an LRV of 77.93. So it falls underneath the allowable. We have several locations with steel and aluminum detailing. All of that will be powder coated black or painted out to match. Our windows are going to be aluminum clad, as you can see in photos of 8 and 2. And then our steel detailing will be vertical and horizontal fins shown in photo 4. As well, we're using local gray sandstone deck. All of that will be quarried and to match throughout. So we use a very simple color palette. The landscaping will really highlight the architectural features, while the house does not become too overpowering with its architecture. We've also included cut sheets as requested last time for the landscape lighting and exterior lighting of the house. They're pretty low in wattage. One's 8.2 for the sconces. The other one is a 2-watt path light. We also have a landscape lighting plan where we've significantly reduced the amount of landscape lighting. We'll get to that in a moment. If you want to go to the exterior elevations or scroll down a couple pages, these are just the demo elevations. A couple more. The site plan actually right there, 2 pages, 1 page down. 2 pages down from that. All right. So on the site plan, we have all of the proposed landscaping, which is basically just for the back of the house. Again, our landscape plan really highlights where the new planting will be, and Scott will go over that in a moment. Scroll down. This also shows that the roof over the outdoor kitchen is completely covered as well and not a trellis. All right, so our exterior elevations show where the color material palette actually is illustrated. So we have at the front entrance here, flanking the portico, we have the horizontal and vertical louvers, which we have detailed later on in a wall section detail, showing the connection back to the house as well as to the entrance portal. We're considering a, we have detailed it out as having a slight reveal. So it looks like the metal is coming out of the house, as well as these columns are coming out of a small planter recess at the base of the step here. As well, all the detailing for the trellis here will be the powder coated black. The fins of the actual trellis are a GFRC panel, which we couldn't really find a reference image of because we have not seen anybody do that before. So it'll be almost a teardrop shape. We'll get to the details of that later.
Stefan, do you want to talk a little bit about the portico? So that's also made of the same sandstone detailing, which is basically consistent with what's happening on the flooring as well. So a lot of care and attention details gone into how that procession will be through that portal in regards to the actual texture and finish of the sandstone.
And so the texture also, going back to that, the texture of the sandstone at the front will be rougher at the base and progressively gets smoother as it wraps over and then comes back down. So we can go a little further down, just showing more of how those details throughout kind of exist with the new color and finishes.
Can I just add also, again, last time we reiterated the rationality and the vigorous proportional systems in all the fenestrations to ensure there's consistency on every elevation. And we're working very closely, and that's quite apparent on the window schedule as well.
Go further down. Just more details of how we actually started, or we detailed out the little patio outside of the kitchen and media room with a planter, water feature, and the stairs coming down. This is the entrance gates to the property, this elevation here. So we do have two entrances to the actual driveway or parking area in the front of the house. So again, that horizontal and vertical louver replicates at the entrance gate. The gate is only 6 feet tall with 8-foot sandstone columns on either side. We actually had to move the columns slightly left and right just to allow for the actual clearance required by fire. And then we have details of the horizontal and vertical connections on.
And just to add on the details of the horizontal and vertical, this is something as part of the secession language we pulled off from the likes of Joseph Hoffman, Wagner. These are all subtle hints on a bigger, larger conversation about the aesthetic of the building as it belongs to, as per the historian, the Vienna secession aesthetic. So, you may continue.
And then each of the columns will have a recessed down spotlight in them, low voltage, low wattage, to produce a nice wash of light down the textured sandstone, which is in here, with the smooth sandstone on the exterior here. So really playing with very similar materials all the way through. The site walls will be painted to match the house. You can continue down. The outdoor kitchen will all be integral color stucco to match the house, as well as the pizza oven will also match everything. The cover of the actual pizza kitchen will be a black powder coated steel with the same sistered columns going up and suspending the actual roof structure. So this is the same detail that we're doing for the trellis, just with a full roof. And then go down, the outdoor shower and water feature. So the water feature will be the rough sandstone on this face here with a steel slight edge. We'll have that be black and steel, and then there's planter boxes on either side. The section just through the pool, section through the house, and go through down to these wall sections. So the wall section showing, the wall section showing the largest of our multifold doors going out to the pool and the connection back to the house with these teardropped louvers that are the GFRC panels. And then the entrance at the portico, the steel connection back to the house, as well as back to the portico, and how it's kind of recessed into the actual sandstone and then into the stucco. So this trellis or fins really look like it's coming out and emerging. Further down, just some typical details for the house. And then our door and window details. So again, we do have a metal edge that extends around on the exterior of the house about 2 inches, also catching our drip edge there, and then comes down and dives into the ground here. And we have that as well on our doors, multi-fold, and our windows. And then of course we're replacing the fascia board where needed, the cornice, repairing it and painting it out to match the house as needed. And then some more site details with the planter box with recessed lighting around the edge, which again will be a linear LED, low voltage, low wattage. And then stone steps with recessed lighting in there. We're trying to get away from doing any actual fixtures for the landscape lighting. We do need several as they are further away on paths, but as much of the architectural lighting as we could do recessed into stairs and planter beds, we try to keep that going just for safety purposes of maneuvering the site. This is our details for the trellis fins. So you can really see the spacing, the size, the depth, and how they articulate as well. And then the over.
I would just net the louvers. Obviously, we had looked at different options of wood and steel. The going with the working with these panels, we're going to match the integrated color of this gray sandstone, and we anticipate a beautiful wash of light in the absorption of how the natural light will play out in the middle of the courtyard there. So we've spent a lot of time developing the architectural language of that to ensure it's consistent.
Mm-hmm. This is a section cut right here, number 5, of the top of the portico as you're entering, and how that sandstone steps back as you pass underneath it, and then top corner, and then how the screen interacts with actual stone.
And up on the right in number 5, just to note that again, that step down aesthetic is very much embedded in that timeline and that development. So yet though we are introducing these architectural elements, they're very subtle hints at the historic kind of nature of the building itself.
And then our door and window schedule showing the rigorous nature of the design of the fenestration. And then we've also included some preliminary structural, which shows the size of the members for the trellis, the outdoor kitchen. Don't really need to go into those too much. If you want to open up the landscape set. All right, so this is the existing landscape as it's shown. We can go through, it's just the first 3 pages are detailing out what's existing there. If we go to page 4, it shows the extent of the work. Is it going? There we go.
It's a big file, so it takes.
Yeah. So again, the extent of the work is mainly to the back and sides of the house. The front yard, we are just proposing to remove several trees that are dead, as per our arborist, his comments. So we have filled in this small patio area with a Japanese maple and several other plants wrapping around each side to really fill in the nature of this small area. And then around the pool is really where the focus of the work is for the landscape is going to be, to really hold in this pool area and to provide a really lush tropical feel. Scott, if you want to go down to one more page, Scott can fill you in a little bit more on the planting plan.
So as Stefan mentioned, the landscaping really is contained to the backyard of the property around the new more structural elements in the backyard, mainly being the pool and covered sitting area east of the pool. There's an existing very large Tory pine west of the pool, so that's above on this plan. And then to the south, or excuse me, to the east, or below the pool is a large jacaranda tree, which we want to preserve. The backyard is existing lawn primarily right now. And as a result of the arborist recommendations, we're trying to retain some of that lawn around those two trees that I just mentioned. Then the landscaping around the pool is really just a lush, casual mix of somewhat tropical yet drought tolerant plantings. The palette includes olive trees, Kentia palms, rosemary. So an interesting mix. But the idea was to really, there's a lot of symmetry in this design, but the planting is really mixed and casual. On the preceding or following pages, you'll see we have lighting. This is the lighting plan. There are 3 fixture types: a path light, wall sconces, and step lights. There's cut sheets on this page for those fixtures.
Yeah, those are the same ones that we showed on our color material board. So just to reiterate, the sconce is a 8.2 watt, the path light is a 2 watt, and then the linear LEDs and the steps will be low voltage, low wattage, very just minimal lighting there. And then we have
the next page, irrigation and hydrozone and irrigation details. And this is I think hardscape and drainage.
So this one shows where our materials show up in the site plan for the gray sandstone steps, the sandstone tile, and the powder coated aluminum and steel. Further down is the irrigation details, and then the last page is a preliminary tree protection plan that we put together, showing the tree removal of the trees with X's here, here, and here, and a few others down here, and then the one low quad back here. And I believe we addressed the comments from the last meeting.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the presentation. Let's go to questions of the board. Claire, did you have any questions?
Mr. Chair, if I could interject, have we skipped item 7 and are on to item 8?
Oh, we did 7.
We're on 7.
We should be on item 7, and I thought that was what was introduced, but we're discussing 1671 San Leandro.
Kimberly, what happened was that the box account labeling on the folders was mixed up. So in the box account, this is item number 7. On the agenda, it's number 8.
Okay, I had corrected that, so I'm sorry, Dave.
We're on number 7, Kimberly.
No, we are reviewing item number 8.
Yeah, I downloaded these last night.
Right, yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, we're on agenda item number 8, and let's keep it agenda item number 8. We just took it out of order.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was my fault, I think. I'm looking at the
old. It was originally mine. Thank you.
Old agenda. So we're on 1671 San Leandro.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're going
we're still at questions? Or
questions. Yes, we're at questions.
We can't keep track of anything today. Okay.
And I think, did I ask you, John, if you had questions? Is that?
Oh,
you did not ask me.
Well, go ahead.
Site lighting. Can we go to that, please?
Oh, good. That was going to be my question.
I knew it.
Yeah, well, old record and all that.
Yeah.
New photograph.
A couple of pages up. Right there. Yeah.
Okay, so.
Yeah. What are these things?
I understood what you said about trying to minimize any of the lighting except for step lighting and things like that, which I appreciate. Any tree lighting?
No.
Moon lighting? None. Okay, no. And how many pathway lights, please? Are that those little
Yeah, I believe there's this quantity actually up in the box there. I can't read it right from here. I believe
Oh,
they're
The little triangles.
13, yeah. They're both 13, the sconces and the path lights.
13 total?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chair. That's, at this point, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you,
So
John.
just while, I'm just gonna jump in here, Mr. Chair,
Yeah, go ahead.
with a question. So the little, on the page we've got in front of us, the little triangles, what are those little triangles supposed to be?
It's showing the direction of the light and the light spread from the fixture. And they're all down lights too.
It's the bottom fixture on your 3 items.
Yes.
There. Yeah. Do you see that fixture, Claire, the bottom there? It looks like that. It's a pedestal mount.
Oh, that's what you're showing me right now, Dave, is that's the fixture?
Yes.
Yeah, that's B and B.
It's
And
a very
that's
subtle wash.
And that's hanging from the trees?
No, that's mounted on the ground.
It's mounted on the ground. Okay, that's what I've got. The little symbols look like the symbols that people use when they're trying to hang them from the trees. Oh, I see what the gray is. The gray is just the direction the light is going. Okay, thank you. I just got confused about what all of that was trying to say to me. Okay, other than that,
Any other? Okay, thank you, Claire. Don Sharp, did you have any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
None. Tip, any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
No questions. Dave Mendro, any questions?
No questions.
I have one more question.
Go ahead, Claire.
I was just interrupting. I was just interrupting the lighting thing. But I do have a question is what is and I think it's existing, but what is the screening along the rear property line where the new pool is? I think you showed, it showed as being existing on your plan. I just want to know what that is.
That's right, Claire. It is existing. It's Pittosporum undulatum.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Claire. I have a question. Is the pool new? Is that new? And pool equipment, where is that?
It is located here with showing the screening as well around it.
All right, and it's outside of the setback.
Mhm.
I'll deal with the decibel levels and all that.
Yep.
Then explain the variance you request. It's an existing garage piece that you're trying to get in the setback. Is that it?
So
built, not permitted, but it was as built sometime.
Yeah, so the covered carport there was built without permits, and we're removing the roof to appease for CDP permit. We may go back for a variance later on for a new roof, but
so
we'll have to remove it.
So you're not looking for a variance now at this point?
No.
Okay, all right, and everything's out of the setback that needs to be out of the setback.
Correct. Okay,
all right, that was all I have. Let's go to public comment. Is there anyone that would like to speak to this item number 8, 1671 San Leandro?
No, thank you, Bill.
Okay, great, thanks, Sharon. Let's close public comment and go to board members' comments. John Watson, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, the reason I hesitated before about questions, I actually have a question of my fellow board members. The cap flashing is ubiquitous on this project. We don't normally encourage cap flashing. I'm wondering if board members have a comment about its appropriateness here on this project, or whether or not we should ask them to have the plaster wrap over the top like we normally do. Anybody? Everybody?
I mean, this has got kind of a square edge shape to it. There's a historic element to it for sure. I mean, I would be okay if it was copper, certainly, you know.
Don Sharp, you're pretty much of a stickler on this.
Well, thank you.
I love you, Don.
Yes, I can tell. If it's just a standard sheet metal 24 gauge, no. But see a lot of it where it's either aluminum and it's maybe 3 inches deep and has a substantial feeling. To me, it's okay. The alternative is, a lot more expensive, and with a fascia, doesn't work out all that well. That's all.
Is it actually a wood fascia there too versus plaster, or are we not seeing it?
Currently, it's drawn as wood fascia board. Our idea was to retain the architectural detailing that's there as much as possible, and that's what's there. So we're going to repair it in kind.
There's a wood fascia that runs across. Yeah.
And then
for that reason, John, the flashing really pretty much has to happen, doesn't it?
Probably. Very good. I just wanted to ask.
I also think that all the detailing is really well conceived and thorough, so I'm assuming that they're going to do that right too. But that is
what we're going to get is what we see right here.
Right.
And Don is suggesting, I think is what he's talking about, is it extends out a little bit, wraps back towards the wood, and then maybe up, so it actually becomes an element in the facade. Is that correct, Don, or did I misunderstand what you were saying?
Well, it's not depicted well here, but as to the material, the dimensions, and the little drip that comes out, most tract houses have that detail. So I'm assuming that they're taking that a few notches up above that and detailing it with a little more substantial feeling.
Thank you,
That's
Mr.
all.
Chairman. Thank you.
All
Mr.
right.
Chairman, I'm done.
Okay, thank you, John. Don, your comments, Don Sharp.
Well, I think it's certainly well detailed and well done, and I'm ready for a motion.
Okay. Well, we'll come back to that. Dave Mendro, did you have any thoughts?
Like I said before, I think it's a very well conceived project, thoroughly detailed, and I like the way they've maintained the history of the project, but have taken it in more of a contemporary twist for modern living, and so I can definitely support the project.
All right. Tip, your comments?
Well, I definitely feel that's ready for final approval. And
Make a motion.
Okay.
so I would like to make we're not done yet, Dave. I mean, Bill, are you want to comment on it?
No, I'm in agreement with that. That's fine. Go ahead.
So I'd like to make a motion for final approval as submitted.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Dave. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carried. So item 8 is approved. So now we're back to item 7. Is that correct, or am I?
You are correct.
Okay. So
But does that, you'll have to tell me where to go.
Item number 8 in the box.
this one is.
Yep, right there.
Is this the Lewis entry gate? Is that it?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, it's another entry. Oh, that's where I got confused.
Okay. Okay, so this one is here for preliminary and final approval. 652 Park.
All right.
And it's got items here, overall project and landscaping good, restudy trellis and details, clarify interface between front wall and hedge, remove light fixtures from top of gate post, dark sky compliant lighting can be integrated in place the gate post and column. One member expressed concern regarding gate location and potential to create blind spot. Verify Montecito Fire Department is okay with gate and pilaster location. Okay, back to.
There is a memo too.
Okay, let's read the memo. Project request of Don Sherry. Oh wait, no, here we go. Preliminary review indicates that the project complies with all the requirements of the 2E1 zone district and is compatible with the requirements of the Montecito Land Use and Development Code and the policies of the comprehensive plan, including the Montecito Community Plan, subject to certain conditions. So it's compliant, looks like. Okay, great. Is the applicant online?
Hi, everybody. It's Kate Dole here. Don Sherry, I'm having some trouble with my my screen not showing the meeting. And Dawn was present at the appropriate time, but now she might be having the same time. You're here? Okay.
Yeah, we're here. This is Phaedra with Sherry.
Oh, there you go. Okay, hi.
Hi. We're under Paul Seacat's name because I used his link to get in on the meeting. But nice to meet you all. And we're here today for preliminary final. So I'm just going to jump right into the comments from last time, which were back in June. And so the board had expressed a concern about the columns that we previously shown being a little bit too slender and elongated. So we went ahead and updated those to match more of the existing architecture on the house. So if you go to page 11 of the PDF, sheet A 5.0.
Which page of the PDF is it? I'm sorry.
11.
11, okay.
As always, you're doing a great job, Dave.
I can't
thanks,
imagine
John.
how he does this. I can't figure out even how to open the damn box. Oh God. Okay.
He's younger than you are, Claire.
Oh, thank you, John. Give me a few more years and maybe I'll get better at it.
He's younger than I am too.
Okay, so here on page 11, you can see the trellis columns have been updated to a more substantial, it's like a concrete prefabricated kind of tapered column, more of like a Doric architectural style column that hopefully should address the board's concerns with the slender columns last time. So there's, as a little refresher, there's two trellises that we're talking about today. One of them is on the rear of the house, and then one of them is up by the proposed pool.
Oh, I remember this project.
And they're both, there's a picture. Yeah. They're both in the backyard and you can't see them from anywhere just as a sideline. Any public view, that is. Go ahead, sorry, I interrupted.
No, it's okay. So there's been more trellis details added on this, back to page 11, the beam end detail, and we're just showing more dimensions to make it more clear and hopefully address any concerns about the trellis members. And so now I'm going to move on to item number 3 from the previous comments. So the question was to clarify the site wall, the entry wall. And if you go to page 2 of the PDF, and if you zoom in on the left side of the site plan, perfect. So we have a 6-foot stucco site wall leading up to the entry gate. And to clarify how that site wall ends, on the north side, it extends over the property line to the neighboring property. So it'll be adjacent to their site wall. And then on the south side, it stops at the property line and a new black vinyl chain link fence will be added, or sorry, it's replacing an existing fence. And then there's going to be a hedge on the outside of the fence. And that can be seen on page 14. You can see the hedge on the planting plan. So hopefully that clarifies the question about the interface at the end of the wall. And then moving on to the next item, we have moved the light fixtures on the entry gate columns to the face of the columns. And if you go to page 12 of the PDF, and you go down to the bottom, there is a elevation view of the entry gate. And you can see that we have changed the light fixtures to be a wall mounted fixture. It's a bracket like light fixture, and it's a dark sky compliant fixture with the bulb located up in the hood of the fixture. And I think we have also added the other light spec sheet for the trellis, the 2 trellises, which is also a dark sky compliant light fixture. So that would be number 3 on the spec sheet there, and then the one on the entry gate is number 2. And the last comment that the board had last time was regarding the fire department. It was a concern about the blind spot coming in and the entry gate location. So we did reach out to the fire department and we spoke with the assistant fire marshal, Alex Bromont. And he confirmed that the location as we have it is okay, and it meets their intents of their standards. And I think that's pretty much it for what I have to say regarding the comments from last time.
Would you please review the site lighting on PDF page 16, please?
Oh, perfect.
Kate, if you're still with us, would you mind chiming in on that one?
Yeah, Kate was gonna just do a presentation on any minor changes that she's made to her.
Oh, I'm sorry if I got out of line.
No, that's okay. We can start here.
Yeah.
We're simply adding some path lights along through the garden, all low voltage, low impact path lights.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. And then we have a couple of moonlights in the big oak tree that's between the pool and the patio and the outdoor kitchen. And the only other light that I was incorporating is a small tiny light in our a little water feature that's in the motor court turnaround, which is just a simple little pond kit, small, very small light.
And the trellis lights, please.
I was showing some pendant lights. I don't know if that's consistent with what Phaedra was just talking about, but I had shown some very small little copper pendant lights.
These little guys.
These little guys.
This one here?
Yes.
Yes. Oh my God. We should make everybody do this, by the way, when we get to lighting. This is the fixture to use.
Yeah, they're great.
Okay, that concludes your.
Well, the rest of my landscape design is sort of in fitting with what I went through. It's been a while though, so I'll just remind you that the theme of this is that Australia meets Palm Beach, where we've got these large eucalyptus trees to contend with in the front, and then my client loves palm trees and everything exotic like cycads and that type of thing. So if you've driven by, you probably noticed we've already been implementing some of those, and we just plan on softening the wall from the outside and just really making it a beautiful, lush, yet drought tolerant landscape for these clients. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kate.
Very well.
Let's go on to questions of the board. Claire, did you have any questions?
Yes, I do. Dave, can we go back to the front entrance where they show the lights that they're proposing to hang on because I think my question more has to do with the scale of the drawing and what I'm seeing. Yeah, because there's those no, this isn't the one. It's I think it's page, well, no, I think it was page 5, fixture, size of fixture, page 5, I think is where you showed where we saw that before.
At the entry gate,
The entry gate, yes. With the page with the entry gate and the columns. And then you move the light from on top to the column.
Mhm.
wherever that
That's,
is.
is that the other set?
Oh,
Oh, no. Is it, do you know which page that is?
Page 12.
12? Okay.
yeah. there you
Oh,
go.
there's the, okay, this is it. This is perfect. Okay, now, is the way this is drawn and represented, the light fixture itself, I mean, the side of the, is 6 feet tall, that, I mean, this looks like the biggest fixture in the world, so I just don't understand. Oh, here's what I was looking, I needed.
21 inches high, it looks like.
How tall is that? Yeah, that's because I couldn't read that. 21 inches is only about. Okay, so, okay, I don't have any problem. That is, it's in the draw, how it's indicated. I mean, there's no way that light covers that much. I mean, that light is really big in
It
the
might be
drawing.
It
But
might
I
be,
don't think it actually is in reality. That's what.
might be the height of that fixture mounting that looks a little off. You know, the height of it and position on the
Well,
pilot.
I just think if you've got a 6-foot wall and this fixture looks giant.
Yes.
And it's a scale, for me, it's how I'm looking at the drawing, and now that I can see the size of the light, it's not really, if it was drawn in scale, it would be smaller. That's all.
It is drawn in scale, I think.
I think it's drawn to scale, but it looks darker because of the poche behind it. And I agree with whoever said it should be mounted maybe 6 inches higher. Sorry about that.
Okay, okay.
It's a third of the height of the wall almost.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so then I would just recommend moving those up then.
Okay, thanks, Claire. Tip, what are your thoughts, comments?
Are we in comments or questions?
Oh, are we in questions still? Okay.
Yes.
Good question, Bill.
Hey, sorry. I'm jumping ahead.
I do not have any questions. Thank you.
Okay. John Watson, do you have questions?
I do. The columns that you are showing are called out as precast concrete. Do you have a manufacturer for that, please?
We're close to finding one. We know we can find it, but we didn't have it for the submittal.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And were you paying attention when we reviewed a project on Woodley Road? There was a picture of an existing light fixture in the lower left-hand corner that was a smaller proportion to the column than the one you are showing. Were you paying attention during that time? That's the question.
I guess I wasn't paying attention, John. What were you referring to again?
On the Woodley Low.
No, I know on Woodley, but what are you referring to exactly? I didn't hear the question.
There's a light fixture on your demonstration photograph.
For Woodley Road.
On Woodley Road.
So,
which is
and
much
you're
smaller in proportion to the column, and the comment is, I think it's better proportioned than what you have, but that's a comment. So let's move on.
We'll wait till the next.
we don't have a problem with using that fixture either.
Very good, thank you.
All right, thanks. Don Sharp, did you have any questions?
Yeah, just one. The columns, as illustrated, have an emphasis. And John and I have talked about this before. Does your diameter can be consistent all the way up, or does the column have emphasis as illustrated?
It's tapered at the top, similar, and we're matching the existing columns, which also have that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Don. Claire, you got your questions in?
Yeah.
And so Dave Mendro, did you have any questions?
No questions, Bill.
And my question is on the columns that are existing there, are they like a sandblasted and a textured finish, or are they a smooth concrete?
It's more of a
The existing ones are.
more of a old concrete type finish.
Yeah, they have kind of a pop bark finish to it.
Yeah,
It does have texture.
Yeah, a little bit of texture, like a kind of like a, for lack of a better term for a column, it's more like little bit of a top cast kind of a finish. It's got a little, just looks like old concrete.
Yeah, yeah, like a sand finish or etched or sandblasted or whatever it is. And you're planning to do the same, I would imagine, on these columns.
Yeah, we're trying as best we can to match the columns of the entryway. If you wanted to go back to those, there's a photo of them when in our original photo submittal.
It's page
Good luck.
Page
3. If you zoom in behind the black car.
Page 3, the upper left-hand corner, if you zoom in behind the black car, you'll see those heavy concrete columns there.
Ooh.
Yeah. Okay, that was all I had for questions. Okay, let's go to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to speak to this item number 7?
No, Bill, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sharon. Let's close public comment, go to board members' comments. Tip, what are your thoughts?
I think the gate design is fine as submitted, same as the stucco walls, and I don't have any problem with that. And other than that, I think, yeah, the project is ready for preliminary final approval. And I don't have a problem with the trellis either. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I don't know if we have enough for final details, but anyway. Okay, John Watson.
Sorry, Bill. We are requesting, just in case there's any question, we are requesting preliminary final. Just so we don't have to wait so long to get into the building department. It's been months and actually a year. So it would be great if we
You can get into the building department anytime you want. So
You don't have to wait for us.
You don't have to wait for us. Okay, Mr. Chairman, 2 comments. I do think the light fixture on the front entry gates is a little large. If you go down to the post office across from the Libero, Johnson, he made that thing important, that light fixture, and it takes over that elevation, and he's fabulous. But I think that in this particular case, a little bit more delicate, I think would be more consistent, and the light fixture that you showed us in Woodley Road, I think, would probably do very well. Number 2, there are precast columns and there are precast columns. It looks to me like the columns that were used on the front of the building are from Concrete Design Incorporated, CDI. I believe they are in Tucson. I know they're in Arizona. And generally speaking, most people feel that they are massive, sort of clumsy. There are columns that are available pre-bought that actually reflect the true proportions of Tuscan columns. These are Tuscan, not Doric. And if you could find one that meets those proportions, you can find the correct proportions on the web. If you happen to have an old copy of Bannister Fletcher, which I had during college, I don't know if you had that when you went to school. It has that, and I think it would be, the project would be far more elegant. So it has come a long way. Thank you very much. These are really small little things, and I think it's probably simple enough in my mind that I could give this final. Bill, your comment on that would be important to me, but I don't see that there's anything really earth-shaking here. So that's all, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, John. Let's see. Tip, did I get your comments? Yes, I did.
Yeah, you have.
Claire, your comments on this?
I think that it's ready to move forward, and I kind of would tag on to Mr. Watson's comment about the fixture, the use of the fixtures, and I think Dawn, you said, oh yes, you could do that. That would be my caveat to my is that would you please just use the smaller fixture for the front entrance. Other than that, that's it.
All right, thank you, Claire. Don Sharp. comment?
A couple comments. I'm concerned about the conduit coming to the hanging light and how that is hidden in the trellis. Number two, I want to make sure that the connections on the trellis are such that the members don't twist. And that can be done very easily, but you see very often that where it's not done. And thirdly, the columns match as closely as possible to the existing. Other than that, I think it's a good project.
Even if it means those columns are very, very heavy, Don?
I don't know, John.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Don. Dave Mendro, what are your comments?
I agree with the comments that have been made. I think the general proportions of these columns are acceptable, and I can support the project as proposed. And I feel like there's enough detailing. The main thing is these details for the trellises, and they have that. So I can support the project.
All right. Thank you, Dave. I agree with the comments. I think we could certainly give you final approval for this. Maybe with the caveat that you conceal the electrical line for Don's purposes, and that maybe you find a pilaster that, and John, we've used CDI, but when you do, you get them in the sandblasted or etch finish, because I think the pure concrete board form version of those just doesn't look very good. And if you do the etched or the sandblasted version, they actually have a nicer texture to them, and they look more like I wouldn't say Cantera stone, but they're a little better quality, and that might be enough to satisfy the look. But I think the proportion is fine. The scale is good. All the rest of it's good. So I mean, I could certainly support final approval with those minor conditions.
Mr. Chairman, if I can add one more thing. Don's comment about twisting lumber, if you specify free of heart center, FOHC for your lumber, the lumber will not twist. Free of heart center. So it is a little bit more expensive, but when you get the heart in it, the lumber will twist. If you don't, it won't twist.
So do we make a motion? Somebody?
Bill, go ahead.
Okay, I'll make the motion for final approval, preliminary and final approval, with the conditions that the lighting conduit be concealed, and the columns, actually three items, the columns be of a texture and finish compatible certainly or better than what's on the home. And thirdly, the light fixture at the entry pilaster be reduced in scale to be proportionate with the pilasters that they're mounted to.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's go. Let's see, where are we now?
We're at
Item
number
number
9.
Number 9, Newman, okay. And let's see, that was here, and I don't have anything on my agenda, but anyway, I'll read this. Nice project, improvement over existing condition. Document existing proposed hedge landscape along beach access and landscaping along street frontage. Some members believe further refinement to architecture should be considered to make the house more interesting. Okay, is the applicant online? Please give us your name and your presentation.
Mr. Chair, Brian Banks here, agent for the owners. We also have John and Zach presenting architecture, and we have Scott, he's been on for a while today, for landscape. I think what we'll do, we'll just brief background. Your board last saw it in December. As you saw from the comments, it was well received. The project really has remained essentially the same as your board saw it. Of course, we've done all the details. We've been absent for such a long period of time because of the CDP process, and we are affected by 2 FEMA zones. So under that non-substantial improvement process, so that took quite a bit of time and budget. But we've run the gauntlet with those 2. We do have our approved CDP. Flood control is signed off on the project, and we are ready for hopefully preliminary and final approval. And Bill, I think probably the easiest one, just to refresh everybody, if you wanted to click on the Newman remodel renderings file, although the kind of 3 of them are already there. So you know what? I don't think it's important, Bill. those 3 are the same that are on our cover page. Just to refresh the board's memory, there you go, of the project. It's right at the end there, Posta Lipo at the beach access there. So with that, I will turn it over to John to take you through the architecture.
All right. Thanks, Brian. This is John Kacharski here. And we are looking at the renderings right now. The one on the screen that I'm seeing is a oceanside rendering. So as if you were standing sort of on the ocean side of the residence looking north back at the south elevation there. You'll see the trellis and sort of the outdoor fireplace element, as well as the deck there that's being replaced. If we can go back to the previous image, Dave, that would be, thank you. This is the north side of the residence. So looking back towards the ocean, and what you're seeing in this image is the new entry path that comes into the center of the project, and the entry door kind of tucked behind that tree there, and the 2nd story volume. So that image there is demonstrating the north side of the residence. And the last page in this PDF is the 3rd page, which would be a street view showing the detached garage and the new entry driveway gate and fencing, and you can see the house in the background there. So that kind of is an overview of the project. And back to the drawings here. I think if we could go to sheet or page 8 in the PDF.
And while Dave's doing that, as a reminder, this project didn't have any additional square footage, roof changes, structural kinds of things because of our budget issues with FEMA. It is just essentially an interior exterior remodel and a landscape, re-landscaping. So there really isn't any change in the structure, the structures themselves. So thank you.
Thanks, Brian. So this drawing here on the sheet demonstrates the existing site plan versus the proposed site plan on the right-hand side of the sheet. If you can zoom in a little bit on the right-hand side there, you'll notice that the site plan is basically the same as was presented previously to the board. The one difference being that there was previously a larger deck on the north side of the residence on the west property line. And Brian sort of touched on that. That was sort of a result of working within the FEMA and flood control and the 50% non-substantial determination. We had to reduce that deck there. So that's one adjustment on the site plan. Other than that, it's pretty much the same as was seen previously. So we can keep scrolling through the drawings. The next one's just our preliminary or conceptual approval from the fire department. And then we'll get into the floor plans. Again, very similar to what you saw last time. Interior remodel and finish, new finishes and upgrades, similar on the 2nd level. So that's the 2nd level floor plan. Roofing, the part of the scope of the project is to replace the roofing with a bonderized metal standing seam roof, which will be a nice upgrade for the roof there, as it's currently, I think, an asphalt shingle. That's the proposed roof plan there. Next sheet is the garage, a detached garage, which is located out on the north side of the site, up near Fernald Point Lane. Again, staying within the existing footprint, the existing shell of the building, and pretty much a cleanup and refresh of the aesthetics of the garage. Exterior elevations. This is the north elevation. This is that first sheet of the renderings that you saw. I'll just touch on some of the major building materials that were being proposed. Show Shugibon style board and bat exterior siding, bonderized metal roof, bonderized standing seam metal roof. There's a little bit of plaster at the wall base. That's to be integral color. That would be sort of a dark charcoal, dark gray to match the Shosugibon siding. We have on the trellises, we have again wood posts to match the siding with the dark color, and then the canopy members themselves would be a steel, but that would all be dark to match the residence. We also, as we go through the elevations, I can sort of point out some of those components.
And we have a separate color material sheet that's larger at the end if the board wants to review that.
We do, yes. Also, I'm sorry, I skipped over one of the big components of the exteriors is the replaced exterior door and windows with steel door and windows, and the color on that is sort of this seafoam blue greenish color. You can sort of see that in the top right hand corner of the sheet there. And so yeah, it's up there. So yeah, just if we can keep scrolling to the next elevation on the next sheet. So the plaster that I mentioned, or actually on this south elevation, one material that is being proposed here on that fireplace on the deck is a brick, and again, that's a dark charcoal, kind of dark gray color to match the exterior siding of the building. And you can see the trellis there. Off the right-hand side there, you can see in this elevation, a little bit of that plaster comes up a little higher where that archway is. And that was an area that was previously the main residence, or the main entry to the building. And we're kind of keeping that element and using the plaster there on that part of it. Next sheet. So the west elevation, omitting a few windows here in the kitchen living room, just to maintain some privacy with the adjacent neighbor. Next sheet. This is just an interior kind of view of that facade. Next sheet. This gets into the detached garage, exterior elevations. Again, this shows Shosugibon siding, the fencing to match the exterior, or the driveway gate and pedestrian gate. And that's all sort of blending and cohesive in being wood and color and texture and finish. So you can see sort of the difference between what is being existing and what is being proposed here. Existing is kind of a plaster garage, and now it's proposed to be that Shosugibon siding, which would match the residence. Next sheet. Here we're getting into door and window schedules. Same with the next sheet, door and window schedule. Next sheet, architectural details. next sheet. I think the next couple sheets are exterior, yeah, architectural details, railings and whatnot, fireplace details. And then I believe we'll get into electrical single line diagram. Next one is, excuse me, lighting compliance.
I think we can skip these.
Yeah, the next sheet, Dave, will be the electrical plan, which shows the exterior light fixtures.
We don't do that.
Well, does it show exterior, John?
E2.
Yeah, we've got a few lights on that single line that John will show you.
Look at E2.6, which is another 3 pages down, I think. Huh?
Yeah, E2.6 is I believe the exterior light fixture cut sheets, which are keyed to the plan, and majority of these fixtures are surface mounted wall sconces, very low wattage, directed downward, and shielded. We do have a couple fixtures that, for instance, the one where you're hovering over, it looks like it's projecting sort of outwards, but that's actually on a soffit, which would be in a very protected area of the building, and it's like I said, located in a soffit and downward, so it's not pointing sideways like that. We do have a couple, as Scott, as our landscape architect, once he presents, we do have a couple step lights in the deck just for safety as you travel up and down the stairs on the deck. The next sheets in the set are going to be civil drawings, just stuff we went through with flood control and dealing with the issues with FEMA, Tier 1 plan and conveyance, civil stuff, and then structural drawings, which there's quite a few. So I think you can go down to one of the last sheets in the set.
You can go to page 51, Dave. That starts landscape.
There you go. Thanks, Brian. And with that,
Final?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Prelim and final.
Oh, both. Okay.
and with that, I'll hand it over to the landscape architect, Scott Menzel.
Thanks, John. So this landscape project is a pretty complete renovation of an existing landscape. And one of the more significant alterations that we're making is we're relocating a good portion of the parking area. So the existing concrete parking area is close to the house on the east side. On this plan, you'll see 6 rectangles. Those are proposed vegetable beds, and that's where the existing parking is. So we're relocating that whole space closer to the street and really improving the entry experience and adding the garden closer to the house. The driveway will be a gravel chip seal, and all the other paving that you see here in sort of that bluish gray tone is a full range blue stone.
Ooh, nice.
I think we could go probably to the planting plan, which is a couple sheets down. There's irrigation there following this, and then planting on sheet 54. So I think there was a comment regarding the property line hedging. On both property lines, there's an existing bay hedge. On the east property line, next to the beach access, directly adjacent to the house, that hedge is Australian tea tree or Leptospermum. So other than that, it's bay. And then the planting within the property is pretty casual and beachy. There's a lot of grasses in more of a mixed meadowy composition. Just to the left on this sheet, there's a vegetable garden and a small orchard area. And then I think the board also commented the last time about the landscaping out at the street. in the northeast corner.
Yeah, I think that
So-
was Claire's comment, and what's out there is kind of a utility area. So we've got like the telephone pole out there, we've got an Edison transformer, we've got gas meters, and I think that was the comment last time was, to clarify what we're doing. It's not a very attractive corner now, and I think that was why the comment came about. So we've got
Yeah,
that.
well, because it was my comment, because it was, it was just, and I think what you've done is fine, looks good.
Yeah, it looks like a utility yard right now.
Yeah,
so that's what
before
we're
it
trying
looked
to
like just, like you were in a parking lot, there
Yeah.
was nothing out there. And I have actually driven by this site, and what you're proposing, I think is good.
Great. Yeah, we're proposing on this project a few field-grown olives, and you'll see one of them in that northeast corner just inside the fence there. And then if we keep scrolling through the plan set, next sheet will be water calculations, and then we'll get to landscape lighting.
We don't, go directly to lighting, Dave. We don't deal with, we're designers. All those numbers are not very interesting. Let's just go get on to the lighting.
Yeah, so I agree, Claire. So you'll see we're using 3 different fixtures here: a path light, a hanging down light, and a step light in the deck at the deck steps. The hanging down light occurs, there are 2 mature magnolia trees on the property. So I have a couple in each tree. And if you're interested in seeing quantities and locations of these, it's on the sheet previous to this.
Yes, can you show us the magnolia trees, please?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
kind of, where's the sheet and where, here we are.
So in the middle of the property, towards the bottom of this plan, which would be the western property line, you'll see an existing magnolia. It has a pretty significant size canopy.
Yeah.
There are 3 downlights in that tree, and then to the left of that is a slightly smaller magnolia with 2 downlights in that tree.
And the
And
path
Scott,
lights,
did you want to
please?
specify the wattage for the board?
Yeah, all 3 of these lights are 3 watts.
And the path lights, please?
The path lights are the circular symbol with the plus sign through it. And they essentially get you down the main entry walkway through the heart of the yard, as well as the walkway down the east side of the house.
And those they're about 10 to 12 feet apart.
Yeah, I want to say they're 12 feet on center. I typically try 12 to 15.
Well, it looks like from your scale that would be right.
Yeah.
That would be about 12 feet, And you don't know what the pattern, the light pattern is that comes out of those.
I don't think the cut sheets provide the photometrics on it. No.
Okay, it's fine. I mean, some people, some do and some don't, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're 3-watt bulbs, and it's about 18 inches in height.
Got it.
Scott, I think that ends our presentation.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Let's go to questions of the board. Claire, did you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. All right. John, any questions?
Yes, on that site lighting, you have 2 pathways, one from the street or the garage into the main residence, and one along the east side, which is open to that water channel, if I can put it that way. Is there any landscaping that would obscure or eliminate the view of those landscape lights along?
Yes,
that
John,
pathway?
there's a leptospermum hedge. It's an existing hedge. That's what see right there. We just talked about that a little bit earlier. That's all, that's a hedge.
It's very
right there.
thick over there. It's like
And
4
you're
or
not
5
gonna
feet
see, you're
thick.
not gonna see those lights at all because of that hedge.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, John. Don Sharp, did you have any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
All right, Tip, any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Okay, Dave Mendro, any questions?
Yeah, on the bonderized metal roofing, is that a reflective surface?
Zach, you want to help us out with that? I mean, I don't believe it's too reflective, right, Zach?
No, it's not. It's more of a matte finish.
Matte finish, yeah. Thank you.
David, do you know what bonderized means?
Yes.
Yeah, I think by definition it's zinc coated, right?
Kind of galvanized.
Yeah, and it can potentially be reflective.
Ah, that's news. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. And then the light fixture that you said is under a soffit, so that's completely out of sight then, is that right? The one that, that was the only question I had, was that one light fixture looked like it was, you could see the light source in it.
You're correct. It's completely out of sight. It's on the side of the house under a pretty deep soffit.
Okay. Okay, that was all I had. Oh, one other question. The railings that you're doing there, you're mounting those to the face. Are those tube steel or an aluminum, or what's the material of that railing?
They're a tube steel with a powder coated finish and a wood cap.
Cap on it. Okay. All right. Great. Thank you. All right. That was all I had. Let's go to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to speak to this item 8/1631 Posilipo Lane? Anybody?
No, thank you. Bill.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Sharon. Let's close public comment and go on to board comments.
Mr. Chairman, I'm ready for a motion.
Yeah, John, go for it.
Anybody else? Anybody else?
No.
Me too. I'll second it.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I will move for is it preliminary final or just final?
It's
Preliminary final as submitted.
I'll second that.
All right, seconded by Don. All those.
I would like to add that the metal roofing is a matte, non-reflective surface, the finish of it.
Condition added. So noted. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you
Love
all.
this house. I love this.
Thank you.
project.
We'll have you over.
Yeah.
Take care, guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Let's go on to item 9. Actually, this is 10. Sorry, and all messed up. Okay, Crown Castle, 75 Eucalyptus Lane. Project is subject to requirements of the 15R1 zone.
So hold on, I'm trying to scroll down to the.
Okay, yeah.
Here we go.
Okay. Project was previously brought to the April 8th, 2021 bar meeting for conceptual review and was continued multiple times until removed from the BAR calendar. The applicant has returned for BAR further conceptual preliminary review without changing the previously reviewed plans. In addition to the unchanged plans, the applicant has provided a response package to address whether the site can be relocated from this currently proposed site to locations outside of the residential areas. The applicant concludes the site cannot be moved without materially disrupting the RF objectives of the facility. Is that the end of that, Dave?
Yes.
Okay, did we have minutes from the last meeting or we just?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. MBAR expressed frustration regarding the limitations to the scope of their review of telecom projects. Requested that planning staff provide a list of the other telecommunication facilities within Montecito that have received MBAR approval. Board proposed to independently conduct site inspections of approved telecom sites. Requested that staff ensure compliance with Brown Act requirements. Okay, is the applicant online? I see Jerry's name there. Please give us your name and give us your presentation.
Yeah, Jerry Ambrose with Crown Castle. And as you just mentioned there, we had a meeting 2 weeks ago, and it was continued so that the MBAR members could, I guess, drive around Montecito, look at other sites that the MBAR has approved. We did provide that list yesterday, so hopefully each of you had a chance to go out and look at other sites. The summary of the last meeting from our perspective is we offered an alternative design where that antenna is not on a cross arm, but would be top mounted to the existing pole. Either option would work for Crown. And I'm here to answer any additional questions that we didn't cover last time.
Okay, thank you.
And
Okay. Yeah,
Bill,
Alex.
this is Alex with planning. So if you guys have questions, Katie is, I think, unavailable right now. So if you guys have questions regarding, I don't know, any of the telecom limitations as you expressed last hearing, I'm available to answer those.
All right, thank you, Alex. Let's go to questions, board member questions. John Watson, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, Claire, any questions?
No.
Don Sharp, questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Questions? Any questions, Tip? Tip, are you there? You're
Nope.
No questions. And Dave Mendro, any questions?
No questions, Bill.
And I have none either. So let's open public comment then. And I think we have some letters. Okay. This one's from Jerry Abrams. Sharon, are there people in the audience too that are wanting to speak to this item?
Nope.
Nobody, okay. All right, let's read the letters. Cawthron, this email originated from a source out, okay. When I first heard about this proposed cell tower on our block, I thought it was a joke, then quickly realized it was not. Eucalyptus Lane is a jewel of a street where I'm willing to bet 50 years ago it didn't look any different than it does now. The mere thought of erecting a cell tower amongst the beautiful old homes that still exist on the street is ridiculous. Besides being a potential eyesore, is there no better spot to put a modern cell tower? Oh, I think there are plenty of places where no one would care. Well, we care a lot. Please don't allow this to happen. Thank you, Jerry Abrams, 65 Eucalyptus Lane. Next letter, which I don't think I read this one. I'm not sure this applies to this, is it? Talks about extension.
No, I'm sorry, that isn't it.
Yes.
That goes to next week, next meeting.
Yeah, okay. Was there any other letters, Dave? Just that one?
John Watson.
Yes, and I just emailed it over to you again, David.
What's that?
I emailed a letter to you, a comment letter, which did not get in here, and I just did it again. There it is. So what I did was I went around Montecito. It's celltowers.pdf. Next one up, there you go.
Yeah, there we go.
What I did was I went around Montecito, not hoping that I would have had the list of cell towers, but I didn't have it in time. So, and just when I saw a cell tower, I took a photograph of it. So David, if you could just slowly go down, that's at Sycamore Canyon and Kamehameha Bay. And what I was trying to do was to figure out whether or not any of these cell towers had a similar configuration to what is being requested this time. And in particular, Dave Mendro's comment that he felt that it was substantially different because of the landscaping. So if you want to just slowly go through these, that's another view of the same tower, a little bit better lighting.
Actually, John, I don't think that was my comment. I think that was Bill.
That was me.
Maybe it was Bill, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is on East Valley near Hodges. And keep going, please.
Okay.
keep going. And you'll notice that in almost every, oh, now stop. This is the only one I found. I did not have the list, so I couldn't go, that had a cell tower right at a driveway or a walkway into someone's property. All the other ones seem to be some distance away. Okay, this is the only one. This is across the street. And what I found interesting about this, I kept hearing for the last 8 years, we can't put cell towers if there's a power line on that pole. And in fact, there's 2 here. Keep going.
John, just to clarify with the power line issue, it's that they can't place them above where the power line comes in. So you couldn't do like a top mount design. But if there's room below the power line,
That's
not
news,
an issue.
Alex, that's news to me. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just never realized that was available. So this is down on Jameson just before you got onto Ortega Ridge. Again, farther down the street a little bit near 101, like this project is. Then again, right at the base of Ortega Ridge on North Jameson. This is up on Romero Canyon Road. So that very rural section of Montecito. Next, please. Again, farther up the street on Romero. Another one on Bella Vista. I turned the corner heading back towards west, and I found this one. And then again, farther down close to Lilac. Again, I don't see this right at someone's driveway or pathway. Next, please. This is down at the bottom of Mariposa, but it is on Lilac. This is on Tollis, right at the corner of Tollis and Olive Road.
I somehow remember approving all these.
Well, I didn't either, and I had remembered approving things on single poles, and I couldn't find any of that. So and then this is the project site, and Jerry, if I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the left-hand side pole. I don't know that it matters. It is right at someone's private walkway, and there's no landscaping. Again, please. This is, just for my own curiosity, the southwest corner of Eucalyptus and South Jameson, which is not too far from that site. Next. And is that it?
I think that's it.
Okay, so, and members of the board, I didn't feel that we, let me put it another way. I didn't feel that I could vote for or against the proposal without doing some research to see about conformity to what other approaches, other projects that we have approved. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have.
Right, so that closes public comment. Right, Sharon, we got everybody?
That's right, we did. I did receive a public comment letter this morning, but it was past the deadline.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we'll close public comment and we'll go to board members' comments. Claire, do you have, what are your thoughts?
Well, I found those photographs really interesting. And some of those I do remember approving because I was on the planning commission when I started this saga of approving these things. So some of these maybe weren't approved by you, John, but those Romero Canyon ones and Bella Vista ones, those were ones that got approved by the planning commission years ago. So, but what was really interesting to me is I do really like this new proposal that Jerry has brought to us, where you don't have to have the bar the antenna sticking out on a bar, but it can be on the top of the top of the post, which is way aesthetically way different for me, much better than that having the antenna off of a bar. So that's what I saw in the photographs. And then and then a question for Mr. Watson is that what you observed is that, and you said it in what you said, is many of these, or not all of what your photos, none of those are attached to people's driveways. There's sort of midline of people's properties in Montecito, and that the one that's being proposed is right at somebody's driveway. Is that what you're saying?
It's actually, it looks like a walkway to their house.
Oh, got it. Okay. Well, that, we're in questions. That's all my questions, and observations at this point.
We're in comments.
Oh, comments.
Yeah, so I actually have a question that might help a little bit in that, in your observation, John, thank you for doing that, by the way, very helpful. Would you say that the majority of these poles that have been approved, the sites, were they on major streets that didn't really have pedestrian walking access? Were they highways and more not so, main highway passage for automobile, not so much pedestrian walkways, but more, thoroughfares for cars versus pedestrian traffic? And I mean, this is a combination of both, but you understand what I'm asking?
I do, and I did not take 20 hours to do this. I drove around on Saturday for about 2, maybe 3 hours. If I found a pole, I took a photograph of it. I drove up Picacho, I didn't see anything there. I drove along Upper East, West Mountain Drive between Picacho and Ashley. I didn't see anything there. Down in the canyon at the trailhead for Cold Spring, of course, nothing there. The cell reception there is terrible. But
there isn't any.
Yeah, there's zero. Along East Valley, there's actually quite a number, particularly around San Ysidro. They were not spaced more than maybe quarter of a mile at the most, and probably less than that. I was surprised how many were up on Romero. I found that. For some reason, I ended up down at North Jameson, and because of the freeway, there were quite a number of them there. There is one actually directly across the bridge on North Jameson, right to the west of, I guess it's San Ysidro at that point. I think it changes from eucalyptus. So right at that point. So there is one, but it's buried. You can almost not see it. So I did not do an exhaustive search. I don't want to pretend that I did, but the place I found it was on reasonably important roads. And Dave, just because could you just scroll up 1 or 2 to our project site? I think that would be more relevant at this point. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to see.
Right there.
Oh, there we
right
are.
There. So did that answer your question, Bill?
Yeah, I think so. Okay, well, let's continue with comments then from the board.
So the question I have right now, though, because we're at the end, this is the last item. Yeah, it's the last item.
Yep.
Which of these poles is the antenna going on to?
The left side, the
one on the left.
Yeah. In this image. Yeah. Okay, well, I'll continue. We can circle back, Claire, if you want.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to figure out what I want to say.
Tip, what are your thoughts?
So are we here for what?
You missed this last one.
Right, so I see the way I hear for further conceptual preliminary. So are we making a motion for preliminary approval, or what are we here for?
This is the last day that we can review this. Then the shot clock expires and they get approved through our non-action if we don't take an action.
Well, then my position is there's nothing for me to comment on this. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you, Tim. Don Sharp, what are your thoughts?
I have no further comments to make at this time. Thank you.
John Watson.
After doing this work, and I want to tell the board I am sorry that I did not mention this, particularly on Romero Canyon. There was a lot of noise coming off those cell towers. There was actually, I believe it was Verizon and AT&T. It was a reasonably warm day. It wasn't super hot, but it wasn't today. And there was some fans that were really moving along and easily heard from across the street. Easily heard from across the street, which to me is part of the aesthetic. After doing this, I looked around town to see whether or not I could find a pole that was at someone's walkway, driveway, as intimate as this is. I could not, from an aesthetic point of view only, I am going to vote no.
Right, thank you, John. Dave Mindro, what are your?
No, I don't have any further comment.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that in terms of the aesthetic, yeah, as Claire said, the top mounted fixture, much better than the radial arm version. My feeling as well is similar to John's in that, it's a small street that gets a lot of pedestrian access aesthetically. It's in front of someone's home. That's not great. And I mean, I don't think I would be able to vote for it in this position because of that aesthetic. So I don't know where that puts us.
Did everybody talk?
I think so, yeah. So I don't know what kind of motion we need to make here, what are our options? Alex or Kimberly, do you have it?
Somebody gets to make a motion, whether
Your
whatever the
options,
motion is.
yeah, it's here for preliminary, so either you deny it or you approve it.
Yeah.
And I would just say that either way, it would be helpful to be as sort of descriptive as you can in terms of the basis for the action. So to the extent you can elaborate beyond just saying from an aesthetic standpoint.
Mr. Chairman, do you want me to take a shot at a negative for denial?
Yes, John, please.
Please.
Before I do this, Jerry, I want to say I have voted for every single cell tower, and we may have gotten moved around a little bit in the past, but for every one, I think this one is just qualitatively different. So to that, and I want to say that to you personally, I would like to move to deny this project based on the following observations. Number one, no cell tower that we were able to find is this close to a residence's entryway. And we believe that aesthetically, it will have a great impact on that residence. Number two, we believe that there is no reasonable possibility for landscaping this out as there has been in other projects, and therefore with the likelihood that a second cell site provider may come in and use this location, we believe that the aesthetics will be decreased because of added equipment and a probable horizontal arm. Number 3, it appears that this equipment does require cooling at times, and that additional auditory
Equipment.
well, the equipment will provide a negative experience, will decrease the aesthetic quality of the walking experience in this area. Is there anything else? So those are 3 points. Anybody else?
No.
That was pretty good, John.
Okay.
Okay, do I have a second? Somebody?
I'll second it.
All right, seconded by Claire. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 That's 3.
Dave?
I voted in favor.
Okay, aye. And Tip?
Motion.
Nay.
Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 1. Is that the vote? Everybody? Tip's the only one that voted against it?
Yes.
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 Okay, all right. There you have it. All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Jerry. I know that you are not primarily responsible for this location. You know, I understand that.
Yeah.
Well, and
We'll see you in the future, I'm sure.
I am sure that that's true.
And the thing that I would like to say about that is that one of the things that in all of the years that we've been working, or at least I have with you, Jerry, and with Crown Castle and all of whoever it is the fact that you've allowed us to relocate, go out there and find different places. This one, the fact that all of a sudden there was no option for us to go anywhere, that's why you're getting the vote. If we had been allowed to propose other locations, the whole thing might have gone a different way. But I think that we were so constrained that when you told us that we couldn't go looking for anything other, well, it was like for me, it was a done deal, because why? I mean, in the past, we've been able to work with Crown Castle to find different locations because we're committed to our community. And this didn't allow us nowhere to go other than to deny it. Okay, just in our relationships that have been going on for years. I just wanted to say that. Yeah.
Understood.
Mr. Chairman, is there any further business? I'm ready for motion to adjourn.
The last thing I'd like to do is just acknowledge Kimberly and Sharon and their good efforts and all the help they give throughout the meeting period. Thank you for what you do on that side of it.
And Dave Mendro, again and again.
Thank you, Bill.
And you too, Bill. You do a very good job.
And John, thank you for your analysis.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
I didn't do an analysis. I did an investigation, and that's what came up.
Yeah.
Well, to me, that was an analysis.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
And thanks.
Yeah.
Bill
Mr.
and
Chairman,
Dave.
I will move for adjournment.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Don. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Bill.
My
All right.
God, it is not even 5 o'clock yet, you guys. Good job.
Wow.